Send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
Excuse me.
Amen. Fist bump.
Excuse me. 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 I'm talking. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me, man. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Wait, can I finish?
Whoa! Boy, we have 63 days to go.
당무기 연구소 상명 병 이어 완전 상강 안강 이어 병 뜨거운 축하를 보내어봤다.
I have this group of young, techno experts.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, hello. There you are. Hey. Yes? Are you alive?
Yeah?
Okay.
What?
Well, all I heard was hello. Da, 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 da. Can always get a rise out of me. Da, da,
I don't know how that triggers that, but it does. It does.
It does. Are you at normal strength here?
I could use a shot of gin.
Yeah. Just. I don't actually like gin.
What about Yennefer?
Yeah. Well, only as a headbutt is what they call it. We've talked about that.
I don't recall that, but
yes.
Okay.
Where you drink a beer, Heineken, and then you chase it with a very small glass of extremely chilled Genever.
Huh.
It's called a headbutt.
And it's pronounced Genever?
No, Genever.
Yennefer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful day in the Yenneverhood.
The more you know in the morning.
Okay. Let's see. Just need to grab a water from downstairs. So let me get the bitch started first. Where is she? Ah, yes.
Fat lady!
Yes.
Fat bitch!
There we go. Next. Wow, a whole minute early, everybody. It's good news because it gives you more time to propagate the bat signal. Go ahead and retweet that tweet. Boost the toot. 1206. The best podcast in the universe is coming up next. Call that a nail.
Thank you.
Jihad! I'm late.
Ready?
Okay. All right.
Jeez. You need a sneezing cough.
No, I still have the wet cough. That's exactly what it sounds like.
Ready?
No, let me just test the levels for a second. 1,
Adam
2, 1, 2,
Curry,
1, 2.
Johnson.
Okay,
Level.
those are good. Levels are good. That's how the pros do it, man. Don't mess around, bro. All right, ready when you are.
Hit it.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, January 9th, 2020. This is your award-winning Gimmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1206.
This is No Agenda.
Guarding your sanity with reality and broadcasting live from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're all shocked and stunned by the fact that Justin Bieber is fighting Lyme's disease. Fact! I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Thank you for this important fact. I'm very glad we know this. I've always wondered about, there's a lot of celebrities who have Lyme's disease.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's,
I think they're all tick covered.
well, maybe it's what we used to call going to the spa. You know what I mean? I have Lyme disease. You won't see me for a couple of months. Yeah. Don't you think that's what...
Right. He's probably pregnant.
I think that's what it used to be. I'm going to the spa for a little bit. Just, going to rejuvenate. Yeah. Well, we kept the amygdala small.
We sure did. Nobody else seemed to do it.
Well, I got to tell you, man, when did the Iranian missile strikes happen? Was that, when was that? Was it Wednesday night?
Well, we did the show on Sunday.
Right.
I think it was the next day.
Well,
it wasn't yesterday. That would be Wednesday night.
It was pretty incredible. The keeper, she saw it on social media, I'm sure. She's like, oh my God. And I'd heard my phone going, and I kind of ignored it. And it was Agent Orange, who I think he may be in Kuwait, or I'm not sure. He's always around sandy areas. And he was sending me, pictures. In fact, he was telling me stuff, and 10 minutes later it would show up on TV. That's how short those lines are from the sand. Whatever's going on there, it's pretty quick. It only takes 10 minutes or so, and then it comes through on U.S. media. But even I, for a second, was like, holy crap. Is this the playbook? What's going on? And then pretty quickly got the message that they didn't actually hit sand outside of the base. They did hit areas inside the base. But as we now know, it seems to be some kind of game. Trump tweets an American flag. Khamenei tweets an Iranian flag. When could
they get one guy doing all of it?
When the leaders of countries are tweeting flags at each other, you know this is bullcrap. That was our whole premise.
It is really bullcrap.
But there were a lot of extra little bits which made it just incredibly interesting. So to reiterate our initial analysis of the situation with Soleimani, I think we even talked about once, Soleimani or Khamenei was tweeting back at Trump. It's pretty obvious that this was some kind of, well, as everyone says now, face-saving mission. But it wasn't just face-save, or who knows exactly what went on. But there were a couple other things that happened during this evening, which leads me to possibly adjust the thinking of what exactly went down. Was it just a bunch of missiles that showed up, some with warheads, some not? I'm not quite sure what exploded, what didn't. You had pictures in the newsletter of an unexploded drone, which we got a great analysis from one of our producers as to what exactly it was. But if you look at everything that happened, there was, let's see. Shoot, man. I'm looking for the best, but we'll start with this one.
I did speak to the FAA moments ago. They said 3 hours before that Boeing aircraft went down, they issued an indefinite ban on all U.S. carriers flying over Iran, Iraq, the Persian Gulf, and the Gulf of Oman. Translation, those are the waters between Iran and Saudi Arabia. There was a concern about U.S. or any passenger being a target, but also misidentification of a plane. Could it be something else?
So it may just be coincidence that 3 hours before the missile strike, FAA sent out a special warning to aircraft in the area, no flyovers. They already had, I think, a 26,000-foot ceiling restriction, but that's been there for a while. This was new 3 hours before, just 3 hours. And then
what happened in Iran in the last 24 hours? 50 people or more killed in a stampede during Soleimani's funeral procession. It had to be suspended. He was eventually buried in Kerman later, but 50 dead in a stampede. Then Iran launches 15 missiles directed at U.S. bases in Iraq, hits 2 of them, no casualties. Hours later, a brand new Boeing plane, recently serviced, falls out of the sky after taking off from Tehran's airport. And then, this is not widely reported, but then there was a 4.9 magnitude quake, several of them actually, across Iran, including one very close to a nuclear facility.
And the markets are at record highs.
And the markets, thank you very much, Lauren. Yes, the markets are at record highs.
So, just for argument's sake, I'd like to expand on the idea that maybe there was a little bit of warfare that did take place in the background. And I'm going to say it, earthquake machine, it exists. It's been talked about in the United States Congress since the early 80s. Other countries apparently have this capability. What if there was early warning, there was knowledge that missiles were going to be incoming, no knowledge if they were going to be targeted properly or not. And you know what, guys? The minute those things are flying, we flip on HARP. We let them know that we've got the goods on them. And unfortunately, the Ukrainian aircraft was in the way of the waves, and it got toasted at 8,000 feet altitude. I know it's nuts, but I just want to put it up. I just want to put it out there as a possibility. It's a possibility. I'm not saying that. I mean, the original theory is solid, but it's just a possibility. The Ukrainian aircraft accident is an interesting one.
Yes, it is. The most interesting aspect to me is that it was filled with Canadians.
Well, not filled, but there were 60, I think. 60 Canadians?
Yeah, 30 from the University of Alberta.
Mm.
Most of them dual citizens, going back to Canada, but somehow, for some unknown reason, going from Tehran to Kiev to someplace then to Canada. I don't know where they were routed that way, what the point of it was, but number of professors, a lot of students.
Here's Ukraine's response, which is a take back.
Big development today is that Ukraine now says a missile strike or some act of terrorism are possibilities and must be looked into. Remember, initially those things were ruled out by the Ukraine embassy in Tehran, as officials there immediately pointed to mechanical failure. That early statement was taken down, and the country said it was too early to tell what happened. Now the president of Ukraine, who laid flowers at a memorial at the Kiev airport today, says the investigation must be open and the information from the black boxes shared in accordance with international law. The plane crashed just 3 minutes after takeoff from the Tehran airport and about 4 hours after Iran fired missiles at air bases in Iraq. Flight tracker data shows the plane ascended to about 8,000 feet at normal speed and then lost all contact. Witnesses say the plane was engulfed in flames as it plunged to the ground. There never was any communication between the pilots and the tower as the plane was going down, but officials in Iran now say the pilots were attempting to turn around the plane and land it back at the airport. Iran is blaming an engine fire, and the Western intelligence agencies also believe there was a technical malfunction that caused one engine to overheat, but many crash experts in the U.S. are skeptical.
They got almost 8,000 feet, so it wasn't like right after takeoff. So the fact there was nothing coming from the cockpit probably meant that the cockpit was destroyed upon impact with something, and the pilots weren't there to make any kind of comment.
Canada is also expressing the desire to have a very open investigation. They lost a majority of the 176 passengers on board. Iran says that it will not allow Boeing to inspect those black boxes, and we'll have to see if that changes in the coming days.
Ugh. Very fishy. But there wasn't an explosion. It was on fire, they say. Which...
Well, eyewitness accounts, you only see just a smattering of the. You don't get to watch the whole event because you're not looking there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fishy. They said they show a lot of bullet holes in the tail section.
Yeah.
Would look like bullet holes. It may or may not be something, but who knows?
Yeah,
This will never get resolved.
No. I don't think so either. Other than the HAARP machine.
Theremin.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not hitting the theremin. All of this does come at a great time for Tom Cruise, though, doesn't it?
What, you got a new movie coming out?
Yeah, Top Gun.
Top Gun. Yeah,
in which
Top Gun 2.
No, isn't this 3?
3. How many Top Guns do we need? This is what.
Well, the plot.
This is what Ricky Gervais was bitching about.
Hold on. We'll get to Ricky Gervais. The sequel is reported to involve a conflict with Iran in which Tom Cruise steals an Iranian F-14 after being shot down. Guy knows how to plan shit. He's good.
Wasn't there an exact same movie with Clint Eastwood where he stole some Russian plane?
Oh God, I don't know.
I don't know. These are not very creative movies.
Yeah. Well, apparently the CGI is really good. It's a flying movie.
Wow.
It's a flying movie, so I'll go and take a look at that. Now, there's just a lot of weird things around this 48-hour period. The New York Times, specifically Steve, what is this guy's name? Who's this reporter? Steve Simon, who used to be one of Obama's top policy guys, wrote in the New York Times about a hypothetical U.S. military strike on Soleimani in Baghdad, really only half a day before it actually happened. Did you read this? Did you see any of this?
I heard about it.
Yeah, so apparently he said, imagine, where is it? I'll find the exact quote. Something to the effect of, imagine you're going to, you're Soleimani and you're in Baghdad and the address of where you're going is known. It would be easy for a hypersonic missile to strike you. I mean, that could either be A, of course, complete coincidence, B, message a la Rubicon is what I was thinking.
That sounds more like it, yeah. To let people know to either buy or sell stocks. I don't know what the thing is. I think they can't seem to control the market. The only thing that controls the stock market now are Chinese announcements.
Yeah.
So, and the Rubicon, the idea would not come from there. So because the market went up, and then we did discuss this on the DH Unplugged show about how during these war episodes, the market tends to go up, not down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it sounds like a Rubicon event to me, but I don't know where the investment money. The idea of Rubicon, these things are always money makers.
Maybe it wasn't necessarily an investment advice. Maybe it was
just stay off of airlines.
Maybe it was. Hey, man, you might want to. Oh, another one I heard. Is that Soleimani had a BlackBerry issued by CrowdStrike, which I don't know if that's true, but I liked it.
That's a good joke, though.
CrowdStrike trying to make good with the elites of the world. Hey, man, we'll help you drone that guy. Don't worry about it. Let me see. There were. Oh yeah, this was. These are all just interesting little data points. This was. Let me see. Ro Khanna, that's a congressman, I guess?
He's from Fremont.
He's from California?
Yeah.
Well, he brought up something interesting that happened with regards to the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, which was signed, sealed, and delivered by the president just 2 weeks ago. And of course, if the White House hadn't intervened, none of this would have been possible at all. So yet another curious data point.
The legislation is very simple. It would say that there will be no funding for any offensive strikes on Iran or Iranian officials. This actually had passed the House of Representatives as an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, and there was majority support for it in the Senate. Unfortunately, the White House stripped it from the final defense bill. Had we fought, frankly, harder to keep it in, the Soleimani attack may have been avoided.
How about that?
Well, that's actually the most interesting of the group you've just presented.
That's pretty interesting. Take that out. We need that taken out. So they probably were figuring that would not fly because they knew they were going to take the guy out one way or the other. This was not an overnight operation. They've been tracking him for a while.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the basic premise, which I think needs re-explanation for people who haven't heard the basic premise, which was your idea that the Iranians wanted to get rid of this guy, and they needed somebody. They couldn't do it themselves for some various political reasons, because as you can see by the funeral procession, there were millions of people who were in love with this character, and but he had too much control. He had control of the major armies, and the underground, and the Hamas, and everything in between. But he's getting too popular, and he could have taken over the country. Had to get rid of him without making it look like too obvious, and have the United States do it, part of a quid pro quo. Now we're going to start to be able to, we can do business now,
right?
And we'll send some missiles over there in the meantime to save face, if you don't mind. And okay, and now it's everyone's standing down, and there's nothing's going to continue. That's going to maybe lead to something or not.
Yeah, and I think Trump's, the president's speech, which was orchestrated in only a way Trump could think of doing, coming through with the halo of light behind him. That's a Putin entrance.
Surrounded by all these guys that look nervous as hell.
They did all kind of look like, oh, don't fuck it up, man. Please just stick to the script. And he was bumbling through it too. He was tripping over. Oh, you had some of that?
I don't have the whole thing, but
he was tripping over words.
I have most of it, including two what I consider to be hilarious gaffes.
Okay.
Because within the speech, he pulled two O'Reillys, which we've turned into one of our words. And what's the word that we keep using all the time that O'Reilly threw out there? And now it's become so common, I don't even remember what it is.
I'm racking my brain. What are you talking? An O'Reilly that sounds like, you rape some woman. What is an O'Reilly? I don't remember.
Bill O'Reilly came out and he put two words together and made a word out of it that we use all the time.
It's so good that we can't remember it.
Well, there's chat room. Here's do your job.
They're trolls, man. They're not chatters.
Whatever. Trolls, get to work.
Bogative?
What? Bogative, yeah.
There you go. Thanks, trolls.
See, we use it so much you don't even remember we even did it.
I thought you made it up. I didn't know that Bill O'Reilly came up with it.
No, we had the quote where he said bogative instead of saying bogus and something else. He came up with bogative, and so we started using it as a term. It's funny you don't even remember that part.
No, I'm telling you, I swear to God, I thought you made it up. That's interesting. I don't even see this clip.
Bogative?
I'm looking in the archives. I don't see it.
It's around.
Okay.
But yeah, he's the one who coined it. He didn't coin it. He just fell into it. And Trump's done the same thing here.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. All right. What are we going to play?
Well, first I'm going to play a little bit of that speech. Start with part 1, which is the way he starts off, which was unusual. He never says hello.
As long as I'm president of the United States, Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Good morning.
That was another part of the interesting entrance, the whole deal. That was, all I could think of is that was the message. That's the message. Nothing else mattered?
Well, I've never heard anyone do a prelude.
No.
To a hello.
Or like a teaser. It was
a teaser.
He was like, and I'll be right back with my speech after these words from our sponsors.
Then he starts yakking away, and it's very boring. And this is part 2. You can get to sense how dull it is.
I'm pleased to inform you, the American people.
The breathing, man. Now I know.
Yes, he's hyperventilating.
Yes, totally.
He's obviously nervous. Maybe because maybe 2 or 3 of the guys behind him have a gun on him.
I think he really wanted to do this right. This is what happens to Trump when he's in acting mode. Because he doesn't have this when he's on stage and he's just, doing his thing, doing his shtick.
Oh, he's great when he's doing his thing. When he's just natural.
When he's in acting mode, I have this to some degree. You're just so focused on what you're doing, what you're saying, that you forget to breathe. And once it starts, I have this on the show sometimes. And I'll have to hit the mute button and just take a deep breath because I've been talking for 5 minutes and I forgot to breathe. Sometimes I have it on the phone too. So I recognize that you get into, and so he's trying not to do the big intake gasp of air. And
hold a paper bag. Just take a paper bag and breathe into it.
He really should just, hey man, excuse me for 1 second. Iran will never have a nuclear weapon as long as I'm president. He should just do it.
Extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime.
Oh, he's out of breath there too. It's really bad.
I think there's a couple of things going on here. One, I think that the basic no agenda thesis here, which is your invention, which you dreamed up or got from someone, or I don't know how you did
came from God.
It came from God. Well, you and Rush Limbaugh. So I think that he's obviously part of the scheme, but I'm wondering if he doesn't trust the scheme. He thinks he may be being set up,
and that he's nervous because
he can't trust anybody except his daughter.
Yeah,
and so this is making him nervous, but he's playing along.
That's wow. So he's not in charge of the gambit.
No, he wouldn't be. No, he's not going to dream this kind of thing up. This is a spooky thing.
It seems so simple, though. I mean, no, okay.
Regime. We suffered no casualties. All of our soldiers are safe, and only minimal damage was sustained at our military bases. Our great American forces are prepared for anything. Iran appears to be standing down, which is a good thing for all parties concerned and a very good thing for the world. No American or Iraqi lives were lost because of the precautions taken, the dispersal of forces, and an early warning system that worked very well. I salute the incredible skill and courage of America's men and women in uniform. For far too long, all the way back to 1979 to be exact, nations have tolerated Iran's destructive and destabilizing behavior in the Middle East and beyond. Those days are over. Iran has been the leading sponsor of terrorism, and their pursuit of nuclear weapons threatens the civilized world. We will never let that happen.
Just on the early warning system, retired General Douglas McGregor had the following to say, and I think he may have let a little bit more slip out than he intended.
The president is very lucky. These missiles, as you pointed out, were targeted in advance, and we were informed in advance of where they were going to land, so we were able to evacuate soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines and have no casualties. The president made a right decision not to respond. Now he needs to live up to the promises that he made to the American people and pull us out of both Syria and Iraq.
So that's not just an early warning system that tells me something was launched. He said they were targeted before, and we knew where they would land.
Yes, which, by the way, I should mention this. We did have one of our producers go on about this possibility being bullcrap.
Yeah, but I think this changes that.
Well, I think when I heard the first time I heard that they were warned, I never got the impression it was from the base operations going, "Oh, those missiles, incoming missiles, take cover." Which is what our military guy told.
Right.
Said that's what did it. It wasn't blah 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 blah. And,
that's exactly what he said.
In fact, I believe this whole thing. If we were going to go along with you either take it or don't take the fact that there's a scheme afoot.
Yeah, no, I'm all in on scheme afoot, and I think our producer who says he has good credentials, and I have no reason to doubt him. But that would be what he's been told to believe.
Of course. He's not going to be... Who's going to be let in on this? We had somebody tweet, one of the Khomeini says something and he makes some announcement. He says, there's no mention of any sort of an agreement.
No, of course not.
What are you talking about? Of course there's no mention of an agreement.
Although, man, I got a lot of Twitter hate when those missiles started coming in. People like, fucking Kerry, said, don't worry, this is just all agreed to.
Well, here, let me give you, I got a better story than that. Because I'm sitting watching TV with Nick as they're announcing this.
Nick is your Nick is future son-in-law.
Jay's fiance.
Yes.
And Nick is, and I explained to him that the scheme with whatever embellishments I had.
Did he roll his eyes when you did that?
No, he never. No, he's pretty much all in on these ideas. His dad would definitely be rolling his eyes.
Yeah.
And I explained it to him in some detail, and then they made this announcement, and then as soon as they said, and there were no casualties.
Yeah, bingo, boom, shakalaka.
It was like, holy crap! Exactly what we predicted.
For a moment there, I felt my relationship was on the line. I'm here telling my beautiful wife, "Don't worry, this is all show." That was after our Sunday show. Then these missiles come in. Her head, man, whips around, looks at me, and I'm like, "Oh crap!"
She's on the edge.
Well, no, hey,
you think you've got her shut down? She's on the edge. She's going to turn Democrat on you right there in the House.
Who says she isn't? We've been doing this for 12 years, you and I. She's new to the party. She hasn't been through a massive prediction, which turns out to be right. Especially one when it's scary, or you're being told to be very afraid because every channel had a person on talking in the dark with two lights in the sky.
That scared
me.
These lights.
That scared me.
It looks like somebody shot a flare.
I don't know what the hell that was. All right,
let's get
number 3
with Trump.
Yeah,
I'm not going to play. Well, now, I'm going to skip 3 because these are pretty crummy. Let's get to the gaffe parts. Now, I have Trump take on Iran.
There's one thing I wanted to mention. I was hoping was going to be in your clips. Twice he talked about the Iranian regime, and when you discuss this type of
well, then play clips where you might be in there.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not that important what I was going to say.
Last week, we took decisive action to stop a ruthless terrorist from threatening American lives. At my direction, the United States military eliminated the world's top...
Did you hear what he said?
At my direction?
No. Well, it was his final say, so maybe he could make that claim. Lies. Anyway, he says we've stopped the terrorists from making threats.
Last week, we took decisive action to stop a ruthless terrorist from threatening American lives.
Well,
what?
You can interpret that in multiple ways, but I see your angle.
I'm taking it literally.
Yeah, I feel your angle.
At my direction, the United States military eliminated the world's top terrorist.
He's doing a Bush. Terrorist.
Qasem Soleimani.
And what happened? What's this with what is it? Soleimani?
Or as the New York Times would have it, Soleimani.
Yeah, oh yeah. And you were right in the newsletters. Like, this happens every time. Osama.
Code.
It was Osama bin Laden, then it was Usama bin Laden.
It's code.
It is code.
It's like, what intelligence agency are you working with? Well, we're spelling it this way. So you're
okay.
with those guys.
Yeah, gotcha.
As the head of the Quds Force, Soleimani was personally responsible.
Now he says Soleimani, so he's addressing all of the intelligence agencies.
Responsible for some of the absolutely worst atrocities. He trained terrorist armies, including Hezbollah, launching terrorist strikes against civilian targets. He fueled bloody civil wars all across the region. He viciously wounded and murdered thousands of U.S. troops, including the planting of roadside bombs that maim and dismember their victims. Soleimani directed the recent attacks on U.S. personnel in Iraq that badly wounded 4 service members and killed 1 American, and he orchestrated the violent assault on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. In recent days, he was planning new attacks on American targets, but we stopped him. Soleimani's hands were drenched in both American and Iranian blood. He should have been terminated long ago. By removing Soleimani, we have sent a powerful message to terrorists. If you value your own life, you will not threaten the lives of our people.
Yeah, unfortunately, what I wanted was not in there, which is the regime, which he mentioned twice. And
go to clip 4.
Oh, who knows? We might get lucky. Here we go.
As we continue to evaluate options in response to Iranian aggression, the United States will immediately impose additional punishing economic sanctions on the Iranian regime.
See, this, almost no one talked about that. The regime part is one, but also new sanctions, which is really hurting the people of Iran. It's really destroyed almost all commerce. But I think he's putting it all. I think there is some persuasive verbiage going on here, using regime, not saying government, not saying supreme leader, not saying president, no, regime. And that can only mean that we're talking about a regime change, as near the end of the speech, I don't know if you have it, he said, hey, the people inside Iran are all pissed off. So to me, it's like, I'm just waiting and looking to see, okay, when do we see so-called protests with brand new signs pop up within Iran? That would be the next logical step if this indeed is the type of game that we think it is.
Maybe. I mean, everyone ends up getting rebelized. We have to remember that. Hold on. We have to remember that Libya was a good example. This one, Trump had to put some tents up for the guy,
so he could stay. Because no, what was it? No hotel would allow him to.
Yeah, because he wanted too many floors.
Right, and so he let him set up tents with all of his.
Gaddafi set up tents.
Yes.
He lived in tents set up by. Of course, they're usually living in tents there. He set up tents by Trump.
God, I wonder if we still have that clip. We must have had a clip about it, or maybe we only talked about it.
Well, let's get to the gaffes, because I think they're the part we want to listen.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, and you're going to have to spot the gaffe. This is part of the game.
Okay.
And it's an O'Reilly-style gaffe where he actually makes up a word. And this will be the Trump on Iran for gaffe 1.
Iran must abandon its nuclear ambitions and end its support for terrorism. The time has come for the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Russia, and China to recognize this reality. They must now break away from the remnants of the Iran deal, or JCPOA. And we must all work together.
Wow, hard swallow on that, too, besides the breathing. Listen to the swallow.
Or JCPOA. And we must...
Hey, stop for a second. You know, the one thing that people have to realize about this show, because we realize, in fact, you were, I think, are the first one to point it out seriously when I was playing these old clips from TV shows.
Yeah, how bad the acting is.
How bad the acting is that if you just listen to the audio.
Yeah, you hear
as opposed
so
to
much.
if the show was on video. If this show was on video, we'd miss a lot that we catch.
Everybody would be too distracted by my tics.
Well, there's that. But we just keep you off camera. But the point is that you cannot catch a lot of this stuff unless you listen.
Yes. Exactly.
And this show is really benefits from being audio only. To us.
And we produce it to make sure you can hear it in your earbuds, in your ear.
Well, that's weird.
I just had a thought, though. I had an idea for the president. And it's an idea that has been pioneered here on the No Agenda show. From time to time, I have a tick, which is a sniffing tick.
Yes, I heard it.
And that's why I did it. But
no, I've heard it before.
Oh, yeah, but it's really sometimes much worse than you would know because I have a foot pedal right here. And so I just touch the foot pedal. That's what Trump needs. For every time he steps up to the mic, so he can just, he'll talk like this and then he'll just hit the pedal and you didn't hear the snort. Because the sniffing and the breathing is distracting.
I think so too. That's why he's so much better when he just does live.
Yeah. So it's just an idea. It's this is actually, and I know someone listens. This is the Rolls Mic Mute MM11, and you can put it right in line with his setup, and he just steps on it with one foot, and then the problem's over.
Yeah, and he said, "What do you got there?" I got a wah-wah pedal.
Or you could have a whole board, so he could actually step on something else. Or he could add a little echo. Just, for the Iranian regime, oh shit!
Put an echo. Yeah, that'd be great.
Hold on. I can't get it off. There we go. Oh man, what's going on? Oh shoot! I'm sorry I'm stuck. I'm stuck in echo hell.
Well, luckily I can't hear it.
You can't hear the echo? Well, believe me, it's. Oh, hold on a second.
You're stuck in echo mode. Is that it? What about me? Am I in echo mode too?
Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, we're both in echo mode, but I can't seem to get it to stop. Hold on. Maybe this will work.
Just after bragging about how great the sound is.
Well, it's. Oh, God.
What do a double echo sounds like?
No, let's not. Okay. Oh, shit. This is the thing.
Double echo.
My console is frozen. Okay.
Wow.
Hold on. There we go. I did it. Woo. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the president.
The Iran deal, or JCPOA. And we must all work together toward making a deal with Iran that makes the world a safer and more peaceful place. We must also make a deal that allows Iran to thrive and prosper and take advantage of its enormous untapped potential. Iran can be a great country. Peace and stability cannot prevail in the Middle East as long as Iran continues to foment violence, unrest, hatred, and war. The civilized world must send a clear and unified message to the Iranian regime. Your campaign of terror, murder, mayhem will not be tolerated any longer.
I played that one back a couple times to see if there was any reaction from the stiffs behind him. There was, I think it was Esper, the defense secretary. He shot a quick look like, oh God, there he goes. Tolerated. What exactly was the word?
Well, play the clip. I have the ISO of it, which is ISO GAF 1. Trump.
Oh yes. Oh, these are out. Those are ISOs.
Yeah.
Huh.
Will not be tolerated.
Tolerated.
Tolerized.
You're tolerized. It's being rubbleized. Only it's the opposite.
Tolerized.
You're tolerized. Well, that's.
I think that's the word. Tolerized.
Will not be tolerated.
No, it's tolerated. He says.
Well, he said tolerized as if he was Brazilian. Let's say. but it's still tolerized. I'm staying with tolerized.
Okay. How do you spell tolerized?
Tolerize, Tolerized.
Yeah, tolerized. Okay, new word. You hear that?
Word.
Merriam-Webster? Tolerized.
I like it.
Yeah, it's
okay,
good.
let's go to now. He's got a second one in here, which we can play the long version, which is obviously the GAF 2.
Today, I am going to ask NATO to become much more involved in the Middle East process. Over the last 3 years, under my leadership, our economy is stronger than ever before, and America has achieved energy independence. These historic accomplishments change our strategic priorities. These are accomplishments that nobody thought were possible.
Wait a minute. He said a couple of things in there. Here.
There's one in particular.
Here, this one.
These historic accomplishments change...
Compliments.
That's it.
A compliment.
It's a compliment.
I'd like to compliment you on that, which I think means
so we got tolerize and a compliment. They sound like words.
They do sound like words. A compliment. I don't understand why the mainstream media doesn't joke about that when he does that. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious, and they don't joke about it because they have no sense of humor.
Oh, there's that. So I have two opposing clips. One is from a professor at the University of Tehran. This is on Euronews, so that should tell you enough about the outlet. And this is how the professor, what is his name here? Saeed, let me see. What is his name? He is, well, I can't find his name. He's a professor at the University of Tehran, and here's what he says the feeling is and what people thought inside Iran of Soleimani.
People in Iran are outraged.
Oh.
And obviously the people in Iraq are also outraged because the Americans also murdered a senior Iraqi war hero who was the deputy head of the Popular Mobilization Forces. These two gentlemen, the Iranian general and the Iraqi commander, they were the people who basically pushed back ISIS from Baghdad and expelled them from Iraq. These are the same people who Trump himself, when he was a candidate, was saying that they're the ones who are fighting ISIS. But unfortunately, the United States behaves like a rogue regime, and the U.S. media, because of its sheer power, hides this reality behind the narrative. The United States is bombing Iraqi government positions. It has murdered an Iranian senior official, an Iraqi senior official, right inside Baghdad International Airport. And they did this in contravention to Iraqi sovereignty. They did this despite the fact that the Iraqi prime minister said that they have no right to carry out attacks in the country. But because the United States sees itself as exceptional, because Western countries see themselves as exceptional, they can invade countries like Iraq, they can create Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, they can support extremists in Syria and destroy the country, they can destroy Libya, they can help starve Yemen with the Saudis, and they still claim to be the supporters of international law and human rights.
So his point at the end there is well made, of course, that we are the assholes of the universe, certainly under...
Was he at a disco?
Yes, it's called the University of Tehran. Yeah, totally. Certainly under previous U.S. regimes, we have done all of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
But this guy is clearly in one part of Iran, but there's multiple parts inside. And I was someone sent me, what's the travel guy, Steve? Rick Steves, yes. And in 2014, he did an episode on Iran. It's in the show notes, nashownotes.com. And, what you see consistently is, of course, young people, because most of the country is under 30, I think.
That's pretty young.
Young people who are very, very clued in. They have, lots of, in fact, when the internet first started exploding, the number one language on the internet was Farsi, not English. That's probably been overtaken by now, but for years, Farsi was the number one language on the internet.
I find that not true.
I'm talking 93, 94, 95, in the 90s.
I'm talking 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'll find some reports. I mean, I don't know how anyone measured it to start off with, but yeah. Anyway, they're very literate, internet literate, and they love America, and they love Americans. They just hate their regime. And one of those who hates the regime is a fairly famous Iranian YouTuber. And she gets probably about 100,000 views on her videos when she's talking. She's done a lot of videos about Syria, etc. But this one got 3 million views, so I chopped it down to about a minute and a half so we can get her take. And she partially grew up in Iran and is now an American citizen.
I'm an Iran watcher. I'm an Iraq watcher. I'm a Syria watcher. I'm an Afghanistan watcher. And for the people on the ground, they don't hate America. They don't hate Donald Trump. In fact, there's a lot of trending hashtags right now from Iran on Twitter. Thank you, Trump. We thank you. Thank you for, Soleimani, thank you. Go look for yourselves. And people in Iran are happy. And they are giving out, in the Middle East, it's cultural practice to, when something wonderful happens, when there's a marriage or when there's a celebration, you give out cookies, you make cakes. And you should see the videos that are coming out. People are baking cakes. People are giving out cookies in public, in the streets, because they're happy. I mean, I don't know. Do we live in a closed society that we don't know that most people in the Middle East are not free? Specifically in Iran, it's an Islamic state. There's no freedom of religion. There's no freedom of speech. There's no freedom of peaceful, protest. And for anyone who disagrees with the regime, they're arrested, they're jailed, they're tortured, and yeah, there's a lot of video coming out right now about the funeral of Qasem Soleimani. It's so much propaganda, you guys. The regime has been saying death to America for 40 years. They forced us in school to say death to America. I was 7 years old. I didn't know what I was saying. And the people that are saying that right now, they're called the Basiji. They're they're getting paid. They're the ones that get paid to kill people on the street. So yeah, they're going to say death to America, but that's not the people. The majority of the people in the Middle East don't hate America. They don't hate Donald Trump. And I'm probably going to lose a lot of friends for saying this, but thank you, Mr. Trump, for making a very hard decision and for having the moral courage to do something that probably a lot of world leaders wouldn't have had.
Now, my experience with Iranians, or as they prefer to be called, Persians, certainly in Los Angeles when I lived there, I knew a number of them, but also Lex's wife, she's Iranian. They go back and forth to Tehran a lot. And so she tells me what's going on, and it's the same message. It's like, and they also always feel that America and the regime are somehow in cahoots, and are always working on schemes together. Now that's, just the population who feels that way, but then, there's always something behind it.
There's always something behind these, especially the Middle East, the Middle Easterners in general, all the different cultures and countries. They're very gossipy, and they
yes, they are,
and they tend to come up with these sorts of analysis, not dissimilar to ours in many cases, and a lot of it is right on the money because it gets verified because they're so open about discussing this stuff behind everyone's back.
So what would be next on the horizon? It's possible
that there are other evidences that we are working with them.
Oh, lots of it. Oh, by the way, BBC reporting that CBS News is reporting that U.S. intelligence says a satellite detected infrared blips of 2 missile launches followed by another blip of explosion, therefore saying that Iran mistakenly shot down the Ukrainian plane. There goes the earthquake machine theory.
Well, it doesn't explain the earthquakes.
Well, earthquakes happen.
2 blips. So SIGINT or who knows who decided that there was a blip of showing a missile.
2 blips.
And hitting 2 blips. Bang, bang.
Followed by another blip. I love these technical explanations.
Yeah. Blip, glitch.
Blip, glitch. Yeah, exactly. So if we look at the cycles, if you look at the cycle of Iran, we're about due for a regime change, for a protest.
Hold on a second. Why would they? Well, we're due for rebelization. Why would they mistakenly shoot down this thing? What planes do they think were flying around, heading out of town, that were what they think was an American jet? What were they thinking?
Well, it was a mistake. This is the reporting. It was a mistake. Oops. Sometimes things are very unfortunate. Bad day wrecker, as we say in aviation.
I tend to think if that was true, quote unquote mistake, there was somebody on that plane that they had to kill.
I did get the passenger manifest, and I saw every name, but nothing I would recognize. So I have no idea.
Iranian names.
No, but that is obviously something that we would look at. A day wrecker is what I see so far. But you say they're due for rebelization. I don't think so. We're not going to rebelize Iran at all.
I think eventually we have to.
No, maybe oil fields, but you cannot rebelize. No, I just don't see that happening. They could.
They rebelized everything else. Why is Iran going to get a pass?
But Iran has been our buddy in the past. They've done a lot for us.
So was Libya.
Yeah, I know. So it's bad actors that make these decisions. So hopefully we're not going to rebelize Iran. What I would be hoping for is another October surprise hostage situation. This is the year to do it. That's what I'd be looking at, a cycle.
Well, actually, this is not the year to do it. The year to do it would be in 2024. Because when they did it the first time. Oh, no, you're right. You're right. It was after a first.
No,
right?
It's after a first
you're
term.
right. Because it was Carter's first go round. They had to get rid of him. And this would be an attempt to get rid of, so people wouldn't vote for Trump.
Yeah.
But they can't because he's such a loose cannon. Nobody knows what he'd do.
Mm.
And it's not like Carter. They knew he was going to wimp out.
Yeah. But we all know that that a deal was made to intentionally delay the release of the hostages so it would benefit Reagan.
Yes.
These are the level of deals that can be done with Iran. And I'm sure that could come in handy depending on what happens with, I don't know, impeachment or something of that ilk.
Impeachment's going. We can talk about that in a minute. But I do have one more clip about Trump and his little chat. And the only reason I want to play it because I have a WTF attached to it. This is a 7-second clip. A Trump talk on WTF military spending.
The American military has been completely rebuilt under my administration at a cost of $2.5 trillion.
Yeah, I caught that number as well. And I actually expected some outrage. I didn't read any outrage about that.
No, there's none.
Which is like, how much?
But who's giving the media? The media can't even think for themselves on any of these things. They can't ridicule him for his tolerizing, and they can't talk about this number, which is, what is he talking about? He's been in office 2 years. They put in $700 billion each year for the military, which is if you add the two together, which is not rebuilding, that's just maintaining, according to him, that's 1.4 trillion. So how does he get this huge number?
I don't know. Maybe that's the $2 trillion that Rumsfeld couldn't account for. I don't know. Do we still have that clip of
Rumsfeld's pockets?
Rumsfeld, we couldn't find, and wasn't that the day before 9/11 that he said that? Yes, this is. Wait a minute. How much did Trump say? That's very interesting.
2.4 trillion, I think. Play it again. It's only 7 seconds.
For peace.
Oops, sorry. That's the wrong one. Here we go.
The American military has been completely rebuilt under my administration at a cost of $2.5 trillion.
2.5. Now let's listen to Donald Rumsfeld just before 9/11/2001.
Pentagon, the day before 9/11, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld declared war, not on foreign terrorists.
The adversary is closer to home. It's the Pentagon bureaucracy.
He said money wasted by the military poses a serious threat.
In fact, it could be said that it's a matter of life and death.
Rumsfeld promised change, but the next day, the world changed. And in the rush to fund the war on terrorism, the war on waste seems to have been forgotten.
My 03 budget calls for more than $48 billion in new defense spending.
More money for the Pentagon when its own auditors admit the military cannot account for 25% of what it already spends.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
Oh, close enough.
Pretty close.
2.3, 2.5, who knows? It's all a big ripoff. What do we get?
It's a total ripoff, and you can support the military, but you don't have to support just squandering money.
And what did it go towards? I mean, I saw the National Defense Authorization Act. I think it went to
Space Force.
That's where the money went. By the way, there are two producers of this program, the No Agenda Show, who I have confirmed are now in Space Force.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I think I heard about one of them.
One of them's pretty high up in the launch area, and another one is in the bowels. That's just the ones I know. But Space Force is the real deal, man. It's the real deal. So, yeah. 2.5 trillion. This seems like a lot of money. I know that, what did we appropriate? $750 billion?
700 plus.
Yeah. So where did it come from? There's money. There's money there.
Where did the 2.5 trillion come from?
There's
drugs.
Yeah.
They took the CIA's money.
Took that money back from them. By the way, very interesting. Ever since you had the guy on from the Quincy Institute.
Yeah, everybody's all over that.
They're showing up everywhere. There's articles. Opinion. The Quincy Institute. Hypersonic missiles are a game changer. This is... maybe these guys are the new war power college, whatever. You know?
Well, you know the people behind it, right?
Let me guess.
You missed this one.
Oh, wait. Let me guess. Soros?
You won't guess it. You won't guess it correctly, but go on. Soros is one of them.
I did see this.
Koch brothers.
Oh, yes. I did see this. Soros and Koch brothers. Yeah. Two fine war outfits right there.
Wow.
All funding the Quincy Institute. So whenever you see someone from the Quincy Institute, you know where it's coming from, where they're coming from.
Flag that one, please.
Yeah. And then just a reminder that John Kerry's daughter is married to the son of I think the finance minister of Iran. Just throwing that out there in case you see him making any interesting moves.
Well, he's always over there, supposedly doing back-channel deals illegally in violation of the Logan Act.
Yeah, whatever. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, General Flynn has been broken by the system. They took all his money. The guy's a wreck.
I have just one last clip in this, relatively short. So I guess a bunch of Democrats got up and we're talking. The new push now is the War Powers Act. I think.
And by the way, Mike Lee finally turned on Trump. Like he was always an anti-Trumper, and he kind of caved for a while.
Wait, Mike Lee is who is he? Mike
Lee's the other senator from Utah with Romney.
Ah, right.
And I think Romney finally cajoled him into be yourself, Mike.
It's okay to hate him. There's no problem there. So what were we discussing?
Well,
about the Democrats and the War Powers Act, right? And
their act.
Yes, Nancy Pelosi sent a message.
Of course, the original War Powers Act was in '73, but they beefed it up during their era.
Right, and so, but I think that they're going to try and the way I understand it, they're going to try and use this to create more articles of impeachment Yes. And why not?
Want to hear my latest idea about what might be going on?
Sure.
Let's go back to the possibility that Nancy Pelosi's not insane. She never wanted an impeachment.
Okay.
But she flips on it and goes all for it. And now she's holding on to the impeachment papers. She knows that to the embarrassment of the Democrats, if she pushes these impeachment papers over to the Senate, which unlike all the right wingers are, they can, the Senate can just do what they want. Right. And they can just acquit him without even getting the paperwork. But they're not going to do that. Nobody's going to do anything. And I'm sure that Pelosi would be talking to McConnell over there at the Senate about what can we do to prevent this from happening, because it's an embarrassment to the party.
So this would be a way out?
Here's my thinking. Now I'm not fully sincere or fully subscribed to this. I'm just putting it out there as a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to sit on the impeachment papers through the election and into the next couple of years. She's just going to sit on them because she knows that if they put them through and they get kicked back by the Senate, they will do it again and again.
Right.
Because they said they would. They're going to just impeach him over and over again.
So
different things. Well, impeach him for this, impeach him for that. So she knows that'll ruin the Democrat Party for sure.
Yeah.
So she's going to sit on it through the elections. And her excuse to sit on it through the elections is going to be, well, if the American public gets a clue and they turn over the Senate to us Democrats, then we can get him. So let's just wait.
Right. Well, that would make sense.
Because she doesn't want to see, I'm thinking this possibility, she doesn't want to see the Democrats get kicked back. They kick back the impeachment by the Senate, will kick it back, except for Mike Lee. They'll kick it back, and then they'll do it again for something else. Then they'll do it again and again and again. And the party's going to look like a bunch of buffoons.
So she writes to her Democratic colleagues, this week the House will introduce and vote on a war powers resolution to limit the president's military actions regarding Iran. This resolution is similar to the resolution introduced by Senator Tim Kaine in the Senate. That was Hillary's vice presidential pick. Loser. It reasserts Congress's spook, by the way, Tim Kaine. It asserts Congress's long-established oversight responsibilities by mandating that if no further congressional action is taken, the administration's military hostilities with regard to Iran cease within 30 days. It's true. It's how the War Powers Act operates. So what's new? It's just a reassertion. It's just a resolution. All right. The House resolution will be led by Congresswoman Elisa Slotkin. She is it says right here, Congresswoman Slotkin is a former CIA and Department of Defense analyst specializing in Shia militias. Sounds like the man for the job.
Wow. Should we put somebody in that actually represents the public?
She served multiple tours in the region under both Democratic and Republican administrations.
Multiple tours?
Tours.
What does that mean?
Well, I guess she
opened up a print shop. She ran a magazine. I mean, what is a tour when you're in
the CIA? When you're in the CIA, yeah, you're probably undercover as a journalist or something else. I greatly appreciate the solemnity. Thank you. Salam to you too. I greatly appreciate the solemnity with which all of our members are working to honor our responsibility to protect American lives and values. No mention of her true oath, which is the Constitution. Thank you for your patriotic leadership during this difficult time. So,
wow.
It's really nothing new other than a television moment from what I can see, because this is
just showboating.
It's a resolution which is not law. It's just it's the same as impeachment. It's basically another article of impeachment in this resolution. And of course he's going to take it past 30 days, like every other president before him has done. Look at Syria. And I can't believe these senators, and I think it was mainly senators, who were bitching and moaning about, well, we got a briefing, it was no good. It was like,
I looked over all these documents. Most of the senators thought the briefing was fine, if not really good.
Except for Rand Paul.
Mike Lee.
And Rand Paul, too, I think.
Rand Paul, they're using Rand Paul as some sort of a foil. I'm not sure what Rand Paul's up to.
Is Mike Lee a former spook?
I don't think so.
So anyway,
I'll look him up. I mean, he might be. I'll look him up.
So the Democrats are up there talking about this, and in the background, if you watch the video would be handy for this very moment. Ilhan Omar, the congresswoman representative from Minnesota, she is in the background, yuck, laughing it up. She's guffawing with some of her cohorts behind. Jayapal, I think, is in the front, in the foreground. And, Sheila Jackson Lee, who, by the way, when Sheila Jackson Lee sees this video, she's going to be very pissed because it was incredibly disrespectful as she's droning on about whatever, President Trump sucks, Orange Man bad. Ilhan Omar's in the background just cracking up laughing. I don't know what the joke was, but then it's her turn to speak, and this is what she said.
Thank you, Ro. I feel ill a little bit because of everything that is taking place, and I think every time I hear about conversations around war, I find myself being stricken with PTSD, and I find peace knowing that I serve with great advocates for peace and people who have shown courage against war.
Oh, why? Her PTSD was triggered. Except she's laughing it up in the background the whole time. She is a very insincere woman.
Oh, you think?
Vote these people out. I don't know what you're doing with that. And with that, I would like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, the man who put the C on CIA tours, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam McCurry. In the morning, all the ships at sea, food in the air, feet in the air, subs in the water, the ships at sea, the days and the nights out there.
And food in the fridge. In the morning, to our trolls in the troll room at noagendastream.com, which is truly the legacy of the No Agenda show. It just sticks around. It stays up. People join in, listen to... What do we have? 50 podcasts running now, I think, on noagendastream.com in rotation. And you can hop into the troll room. And it's open. There's really no moderation. You go in there, you troll around, you give people karma, you laugh a bit. And when there's a live show, you really troll the host. It's great. It's a lot of fun. And it's a good place to find new podcasts to listen to. Go to noagendastream.com. And a big in the morning to Mountain J. I don't know if Mountain J has ever scored a piece of artwork for the No Agenda show previously.
He submitted quite a few.
And he has a very distinct style, and we chose his artwork for episode 1205, 1,205 episodes. That title of that was Death Bus. And... I liked this. I liked it right away. There were a couple of we did have a discussion. There were a number of other pieces we liked. This is the War Machine RPM tachometer with Iraq changing to Iran. Had nice No Agenda with a little do not enter for the O for No Agenda. It was a custom job, and it was nice. It was very pretty, and it popped.
It hit it on the money.
It did, and it pops. There's so many great pieces of art that it just doesn't pop off the page because there's too much. And it's also never on the page. It's on a little, it's the display in your podcast app, if it works.
It's a big if.
If it works, because we are probably one of the few, if not the only podcast that consistently changes its artwork for every single episode. And that's because of the Value for Value Network, which we pioneered, set up, have continued to grow and expand and adjust there where necessary. And everybody who listens to this show is a part of that because you're a producer, and that's how it works. You produce in many different ways. It could be as simple as, and it's not even that simple, keeping the troll room up and running, keeping the servers up and running, creating great artwork, or making sure that we can continue to do this by supporting the show financially. And at this moment, just like Hollywood, we take a little break to roll the credits and thank the executive producers and associate executive producers of episode 1206.
And we don't insult them.
Yeah, we do all the time. What are you talking about?
Well, not like Ricky Gervais does.
Well, we'll get to Ricky Gervais in a moment.
Ren Fakima is our top guy. Or Ryan. How do you pronounce that, you think?
I think it's Ryan.
R-Y-N-E?
I think it's a version of Ryan. I don't know.
Ryan Fakima?
Well, it would be Fakima. I would say Fakima. Fakima?
It's not Fakima. It's Fakima.
Well, in Dutch, it would be Fakima.
Fuck him up?
No, Fakima.
It sounds like Oakland Shack.
R-Y-N-E. Ryan. Maybe it's just Ryan. It's a fine name.
33. He's in Seattle. I hope to see him at a Seattle meetup. Thanks for making the best podcast in the universe. He writes, my brother hit me in the mouth last spring, and the process of my shrinking amygdala has been delightful.
Oh.
I was called out as a douchebag by Beachview Farm on episode 1194, and this is my first donation. So please de-douche me.
You've been de-douched.
Being recently married, my beautiful wife and I are headed on our honeymoon.
Woo!
Can we please have some goat karma? Thanks again for the deconstruction. Jingles, any Obama, no, and it's almost too delicious.
Oh, I didn't even see those. Is that that's... Oh, the cell wasn't expanded enough. Oh, I'm sorry.
Not your fault. That's John to be sorry.
Well, no, because I like to have everything all set up and ready to go. Is there a particular one he wanted?
It's just any Obama, no.
Any? Okay.
And then too delicious to believe, my friend.
That's Lady Macbeth, I believe.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Hillary? Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Too delicious to believe, my friend.
No, I know it's Hillary, but I don't know if it's too delicious. See, I like setting these clips up before we get to the show.
We know.
Yeah, but I'm just bitching and moaning about it.
No.
You're stolen.
Listen. No. Hey. No. What? No. Listen. No. Hey.
It's almost too delicious to believe, my friend. You've got karma.
Just a tip, John. Just a tip. When I'm seemingly talking out of my ass
now
about...
I know what you're doing. You're looking up the clip while
so
you're
you could
stalling.
What you could do is you could jump in and help me.
You could throw it to me. You could just
grab it. Why? After 12 years, I shouldn't have to throw it to you. You should just grab it and run with it.
I was actually trying to get it, but then you were grousing back at me.
You were not getting anything.
I was moving in to grab it.
You had slippery hands.
You didn't even notice all the cues I had. I'm going to take it.
You did not give me single cue at all.
10 at least minimum.
Most unprofessional moment of our career.
I couldn't have done a better job.
And that's how it works.
Anonymous, $324 from someplace. He's from HR. Where's that? Hong Kong?
Hungary?
Hungary, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know HR. Is he from HR? We're in trouble. What did I say? What did I do wrong?
Oh, yeah, he sent this in. He's donating 324 or 18 squared.
Croatia.
Henceforth known as the Lucky Jew donation.
It's Croatia HR.
Oh, okay. HR.
Does that give us
great. Croatia, great. Anybody wants to go traveling, I would recommend Croatia as a place to visit.
Oh.
It's just dynamite place. Food's good. They eat a lot of fish. But food's good. It's beautiful. It's a tremendous place.
We went through this. We know the 18 squared. We've talked about this.
I lost track of it.
When Jews give money, they usually do it with an 18. If I can recall, they put the 18 in there, which is lucky.
Okay, 18 squares. So 324 is the Lucky Jew donation. I'd like to request a de-douching.
Okie dokie.
You've been de-douched.
These travel and jobs, Karma. I'm going to a work-related retreat by means of a long transatlantic flight. I need some extra protection after that glitch in Iran. No Agenda truly is the best podcast. in the universe. It's not surprising that even the Mueller report confirms this by omission.
Yes, and just to make you feel better, the most dangerous part of your flight is the drive to the airport.
No!
You've got karma.
That's our 2 executive producers. Now we drop to Associate Executive Sir Dwight the Knight in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. 23456. Both you, John and Adam, have done an incredible job doing this show. I'm making this donation because most likely, most likely, the donations will trickle off after the big celebration of episode 1200 and the holidays. Absolutely true.
Yes. Thank you for thinking of us, Sir Dwight.
Very mediocre. I was talking to a coworker of mine around the Chunka Island bit on Maxine Waters when another coworker, a Ukrainian man, overheard the name Chunka, and he laughed, saying the name is from a Russian children's song.
Yeah, it's not just a song, it's also a cartoon, and I believe it's a really racist cartoon. It's like little monkey kids living on Chunka Island. So it makes it even funnier in the context of which the Russian pranksters did it.
Yeah, that's what he says, too. Also, about the alternative universe traveling machine. The last time I brought up the machine, you both thought I was asking for a jingle. I was simply asking about the machine and how you haven't used it in a while. But Adam just fired it up the day before the show started that day. I understand it's a very highly tuned instrument, and it's not a jingle. For the new listeners to the show, maybe you could explain Universe A and B and verify which we are in, because the craziness of the SJWs with their swollen amygdalas are getting out of control, and I'm worried that we might be stuck in Universe B.
Well,
keep up the great work, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to an amazing year. I'm looking forward to more Scandinavian meetups this year, people. Cheers, Sir Dwight the Knight.
So we identified multiple dimensions and a split universe years ago. Was this even before Trump got elected, I think?
I believe so.
Must have been, yeah. And it's what Scott Adams would say, the same movie playing on 2 different screens. So we're pretty...
No, people seeing 2 different movies on the same screen.
Isn't that okay?
No, you said there's 2 different movies. They're watching the same movie.
They're watching the same movie, but you see it differently. And yes. And I think just look at what pundits are saying everywhere in the news. There's people who see the events differently, and I think the No Agenda screen we've identified as Dimension A, and Dimension B is everything that's unhinged. That's our code.
That's it in a nutshell.
But we do from time to time use this highly tuned instrument, which is precision. It's CNC'd into precision, and we use it to travel to Dimension B when needed. But
I don't really appreciate doing it, because I didn't say this before, but I'm going to tell you now. 2 days later, I get hives.
Oh, really? And you always get a little nauseous, too, when we're traveling.
Well, yeah, that's...
Well, I'll get you the Dramamine for the next time we fire it up. Thank you very much, Sir Dwight.
I'm going to use a copper... No, I'm going to use the copper bracelet.
Yeah, it'll work. And, of course, Sparky. I haven't seen Sparky in a while. Sparky's part of the machine. I think I left in Dimension B.
He operates it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Sparky actually flips the switch. Thank you, Sir Dwight the Knight. Appreciate that.
Onward to, I hope that clears things up. Dennis Price in Pine Grove, California, $200. John and Adam, thank you for another great year. What you do means a lot. John, in the summer, I manage a Forest Services station at Carson Pass, just past the Kirkwood Mountains on Highway 88. Next time you go towards Tahoe, please stop in.
Do you ever come out? Do you ever pass out that way?
Can I climb up into the tower? We are open 7 days a week and take some shots.
Yeah.
Shoot from up there. From June through September. But if you come by on Saturdays, I lead a history of Carson Pass.
Well, that's
yeah, history of Carson Pass from 10 to 11, an hour and a half lecture of the history of Carson Pass. I'm sure I'd learn something.
I'd do it. I'd go there.
It's cool stuff about Kit Carson, believe it or not. Also about John C. Fremont, Pioneers and More. Find us on Facebook, Carson Pass Station, Dennis Price, Pine Grove, California.
So,
give that guy some karma.
All right, but before I do that, who is Kit Carson?
Kit Carson, he's an American hero. He's a kid. He's like that era of Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. Kit Carson.
Oh, I expected a little more from you. I mean, we have.
I don't have any more than that. I'm not a big Kit Carson fan.
It's an international show. Well,
Carson City was named after Kit Carson, the capital of Nevada, or Nevada.
American frontiersman. Oh, that's a great one. He was a mountain man. Wilderness guide, Indian agent.
Yeah, he was working for the
Indian spooks.
Not fast enough. Sorry, I could have done it.
Good try. Too
slow.
U.S. Army officer. He became a frontier legend in his own lifetime via biographies and news articles. Often exaggerated versions of his exploits were the subject of dime novels. Yeah, you write those.
Dime novels.
Dime novels. He understated his understated nature belied confirmed reports of his fearlessness, combat skills, tenacity, and profound effect. He was the original Donald Trump, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, maybe.
Here's some karma for you. Thank you.
You've got karma.
And always nice to learn something new.
Fabian Scherschel.
Oh, it's going to be Deutsch, because he's from Deutschland. Scherschel. Fabian Scherschel. Wow, that's
$200. He's from
Scherschel.
Last donated for show 601, went overboard for quite a while, but now I'm back with and loving the show recently. Felt like it was time to chip in again. I'd like to call out Brigadier Bradshaw as a douchebag. And then he'd like a dealer's choice of Reverend L. Best regards. Fab ex-Linux outlaw, not operating radio nowhere at random org. I'm not getting any of this, but okay. There's some code in here I don't get.
Read it again.
Best regards, Fab, ex-Linux outlaw, now operating radio nowhere. Okay, so operating radio nowhere.
Okay.
At radio
NW.org.
RadioNW.org.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you should check that out, actually.
RadioNW.org?
Yeah, he put some interesting stuff on there. I think some of that should be on our stream. But yes, he's always tweeting about radio nowhere. RadioNW.org. Well, thank you very much, Fabian.
We'll catch up to this. I'm sorry I was flat-footed.
Yes, and I'm going to jam a karma after this, too.
RESPICT. You've got karma.
And that's our two executive producers and three associate executive producers for show 1206. I want to thank them for helping get this show produced.
Yes, it is incredibly important because we need to pay bills as well. And it's not just the rent. We got servers. We got a lot of stuff. But more importantly, it's necessary to keep this show going. It's what you do as producers. And thank you to our executive and associate executive producers who understand the need and jumped in and helped when it was certainly necessary for this week. And we'll be thanking more of our producers in the second donation segment. And please remember that we'll be here every Thursday or second Sunday, whatever you determine it is. All you have to do is support us. Go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
Pretty sure you could be the smartest one at the water cooler now that you know what actually went down.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
That is brand new information.
Shut up, slave.
So I was baffled. I was really baffled by Ricky Gervais. And I was not baffled by his whole spiel, but baffled that NBC would sanction this.
And they had to. It was all on prompter.
Oh yeah, no. I saw him on the red carpet, and the question was asked. Does everybody know what he said? Oh no, it's all been approved. There may be an ad lib here or there. He says, but no, it's all been approved. Everybody's really happy. For Gervais to go so hard, I mean, and to me, it was really about one thing.
Wait, stop. We didn't even tell you.
Who doesn't know
what the hell we're talking about?
Who doesn't know what we're talking about? Ricky Gervais.
I think there's people that are wise people, don't sit around watching television all the time, that would like to know what we're talking about.
Ricky Gervais, the original Office inventor, and of course the U.S. Office television show flowed from that. Also early podcaster and comedian, who I think is very funny. I love his stand-ups. I think he's got some great bits. It's very English, but very interpretable for the United States audiences and abroad. Was the host at the Golden Globe Awards, which he's known for, as we would say in the UK, taking the piss out of the celebrities. But the extent that he went to this time was, to me, it was either, because it was on NBC, the Golden Globes, to me it felt like what he was saying was either a planned release valve, it was a perhaps corporate cover, or a message to Hollywood. And I don't know if you have any clips, but I only have 36 seconds that matter. I have 36 seconds that matter. It was right in the beginning. And this, to me, is when I just went, holy shit.
But tonight isn't just about the people in front of the camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world.
By the way, he does say important. I'll let him slide because he's British, but he's dropping his T's.
Executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you. He's coming for you. Look. Talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, Two Popes. Shut up. I don't care. So,
the Ronan Farrow relationship with NBC is we've read a lot about it. And for NBC, in effect, to condone the message or propagate the message, he's coming for all of you. I really felt it was more than just this is funny, because it wasn't funny to most people in that audience. I don't think, at least there wasn't all that. There was a lot of grimacing, but I felt it was a message.
It's interesting you point that out, the Ronan Farrow NBC connection, and he would go. You know what the last thing he said at the very end when he signed off for the show?
I forget.
Well, you didn't probably see it because you would have forgotten it.
No, I did see the whole show. I forget.
Again, you didn't hear it was bleep, but you could see his lips. His last words as he left was "fuck off." That's how he ended the show.
Could be.
No, it could be. It is.
I don't remember. I just don't remember. So
that's what he said at the end. But he said that a number of times.
Yes.
In fact, he said it on one of the clips.
Yes. That I remember. Yeah, where he says, "Get your award and fuck off." That was what he was saying. Yes.
He could have said "sawed off" or "buzz off" or anything else. It would have stayed in there and have been better for clipping, because now you get your award and blank. Because they didn't beep him. They
cut it.
They silenced him. Yeah, it was just they cut it out. They cut out the sound. Well, I have that same clip, but mine's a slight variation on yours on the pedophiles, which is one of the things you opened with. Let's play this.
But tonight isn't just about the people in front of the camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background. But they
what?
You can stop. It's the exact same clip. I just wondered if I started at the exact same point you did.
Yeah.
It's kind of amusing.
No,
all right, let's go on.
Typical.
Now, here's the part, just as Gervais, this is the part I thought that everyone picked up on, which was the accepting the awards clip.
Right. And this is what got all the play, which is why I immediately wanted to remind us about the Ronan Farrow comment, because this is, of course, what people love love to hear about the Hollywood elites, like, because it's so easy to hate them for these very reasons.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God.
Yeah, and then it was cut.
And then he tells it.
Right.
Now that is a throwback, and the audience did not like that. But back in 1978, I put 76 on here. Patty Chayefsky is the clip. Patty Chayefsky went in front of the Academy Awards after Lynn Redgrave.
Oh my gosh, back in time.
Yeah, Lynn Redgrave went off on Jew hate, how Israel's a horrible place. And went on and on and on. And Chayefsky.
And who is Chayefsky? I'm sorry.
Patty Chayefsky is the greatest screenwriter ever.
Okay.
And you can look up at his credits. He's got, everything that's really, whoa, I know that. I've seen that. It's really outrageous. You can look him up on IMDb. But Patty Chayefsky, that's Chey, is considered, and in fact, there was a Patty Chayefsky Award at the Golden Globes.
Oh, there you go.
So anyway, this guy who's a very famous writer, he, in fact, he did the movie Hospital, and it was noted that it was just the movie The Hospital, I think is the name of it.
Yeah, The Hospital
was highlight. It was one of the few films that was on the marquee. The Hospital by Patty Chayefsky. There are very few writers ever get to that point, where even Tarantino doesn't do that. So he goes on there, and during this, they keep cutting to the audience, and the audience is applauding. Neil Simon's in the audience. You see all these other famous people, and they're applauding Chayefsky for saying what he's saying. If he said this today, they'd be booing him. Clip.
Before I get on to the writing awards, there's a little matter I'd like to tidy up. At least if I expect to live with myself tomorrow morning. I would like to say, personal opinion of course, that I'm sick and tired of people exploiting the occasion of the Academy Awards. For the propagation of their own personal political propaganda. I would like to suggest to Miss Redgrave that her winning an Academy Award is not a pivotal moment in history, does not require a proclamation, and a simple thank you would have sufficed.
Well, okay, so I'm going to think that 1976, he was there.
78, yeah, I got the wrong date on here.
Oh,
turns out to be 78.
Because in 76, Network came out, which of course is a No Agenda classic.
Yeah, and one of his.
With Howard Beale, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore, which is all about the manipulation of the news media, or all media, all television, to behoove the elites, which is a must-see if you've never seen it. Interesting.
Well, those days are over.
Yeah. Well, again,
we had a bunch of speeches on the Golden Globes, but anyway, the last clip I have, though, is not one of these speeches. Michelle Williams is one of them. I didn't like, but Gervais I thought the best bit was deeper into the show, and Gervais does this, I thought it was really nasty. And he announces the guy from the Hollywood
Foreign Press Association.
Yeah. And the guy comes out and gives it back to him, and he's the only one. Nobody else had the guts to say anything about Gervais's performance or anything about anything. They were all chicken.
Well, it was obviously, the president of the HFPA knew what Gervais was going to do. He was ready for it. So that's why he had no problem doing this.
Welcome back.
Well, anybody could have said something. There's a bunch of professional actors and comedians and all kinds of people. They come out and they refuse to acknowledge anything Gervais said or did or insult him back.
Because they were shell-shocked, John. They were shell-shocked. I'm telling you, the whole pedophile thing, that set him on edge.
Welcome back. Still having a good time? As you know, the meal tonight was all vegetables. as are the members of the Hollywood Foreign Press. Please welcome their president, Lorenzo Soria.
Ricky, you keep saying this is your last year hosting. For God's sake, please put it in writing.
Yeah, that was written. That was perfect. That's what you'd expect.
It was good.
But John, I can't get over it. Whatever the message was, it was there. It was a clear message, and it may just be one of these things where, you know, you get a 10-speed bike, then all of a sudden you see 10-speed bikes everywhere. But there's a lot of pedo bear news popping up all of a sudden. The first one is this hashtag, which has been trending on Twitter, and the hashtag is TV Underground Hosts CP. And there's this guy who proclaims, and he doesn't really have any legitimacy in my mind, but it's kind of like a Q type thing, I guess, where people are all jitty about it and all in. He claims that the DNC server, the one that tanked Debbie Wasserman Schultz and the whole Democratic Party, although that proved that Bernie got screwed for Hillary to get the nomination, of which we believe a server image was made by Seth Rich, who met an untimely demise, that apparently that server is up and running in Ukraine, where it went to CrowdStrike, and that it is a relay for child pornography. Now, I'm just bringing it up in the context of Ricky Gervais's entire performance, which went back to that a lot with Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. He threw in a couple of Harvey Weinstein bits. I mean, there was a lot of really odd stuff that he was pushing out there at the same time. Mother of sexually abused boy Banders breaks her silence, implicates Disney, CAA, Hollywood Records, LAPD, district attorney, and industry elite in pedophile ring and cover-up, which is not a surprise. We've been hearing about it for a long time. But the craziest one was Paul Krugman, who all of a sudden tweets out, well, it looks like I'm on the phone with my computer security service, as I understand it, someone compromised my IP address and is using it to download child pornography. Now, as a Nobel Prize winning economist, did you eat shit for breakfast? I don't care what's going on. That is not a well thought out tweet at all. Why would you do that?
I commented on that tweet, and my thinking was, who has what is he talking about? My security consultant. I mean, he's just a. What is he talking about? I mean, if you're that concerned about anything, I don't know. I just don't. That tweet was baffling to me. It's either that. I don't know. You're right. I'm completely beside myself. And what's he talking about? What is he trying to cover up, or why is he mentioning it?
That's the thing that you'd be wondering about. And by the way, the Pentagon networks, there's lots of articles also the past few weeks about the amount of pornography, particularly child pornography, that is running around the networks at the Pentagon.
Yeah, but that's not new. That, if you remember,
it's
that
been
was
around for a while. Yes, I know, but it's back in the news. I'm just saying, it's like the 10-speed bike thing. Am I just picking up on it
you're
because?
Right. I did the same thing with, you decide to start looking for Priuses. We used to have a game, my daughter and I. How many Priuses would we see on the way to the store? And you'd think, well, you see 2 or 3. You see 20.
Yeah, well, look at where you live, man.
Yeah.
Maybe easy to say, how many gas guzzlers do I see? Now, that would be a challenge.
Yeah,
you don't have that where you live.
All Priuses. I'm with you. That Krugman thing was very strange.
And remember, we still have the backdrop of Podesta, the fabled Pizzagate, and just years and years of doing this. That there seems to be a lot of pedophilia surrounding political and entertainment elites, and whatever Ricky Gervais's role in this was, unfortunately, I think it was my initial thinking that it was a kind of like a planned release valve. That seems to be the most obvious. Like, let's just get it out there so everyone can laugh and joke and create memes of Tom Hanks's face. And then it'll die down because dudes is getting hot under the collar here. And maybe Ronan Farrow is coming for somebody else.
Why not? What else is that? Is what Ronan Farrow's job apparently is.
Yes. So.
And he's got high, and his credibility is super high now, so he's got to be frightening. Hey, Ronan Farrow's on the phone for you, boss.
Oh, my God, scary. Scary.
Scary. It's the words you don't want to hear.
By the way, that is something, before the Russian pranksters do it, could somebody please do that? Call up some Hollywood people and say, Ronan Farrow here, I'd like to talk to, fill in the blank. That would be funny. That's a great gag. And then just start talking and say, okay, well, I there's a couple of things I need to discuss with you. See how far you could push it.
Yeah.
Come on. Why leave this? Stop leaving this to the Russians. We're good at this.
We used to be.
Well, who were the prankster kids we used to have? The boys, the
Jerky Boys.
The Jerky Boys, yeah. The Jerky Boys.
Yeah.
The original Jerky Boys. What happened to us as a country?
But everybody was doing it. Half the DJs in San Francisco were doing it.
Right, it got old, but these are good ones.
Got old fast. If you're not good at it, you got to get it. Can't do it.
Yeah, we had the Schiff. I think it was the same two Russian guys. We have compromat on Donald Trump. We have him naked picture with him.
Into that.
We need more of that, please. Definitely, I think calling up and saying, Ronan Farrow, I'd like to talk to, fill in the name of Hollywood executive, fill in the name of politician. See what happens. It could be funny.
Well, since that thing, and they had that Tom Hanks stuff, who's just pretty much of a, kind of a boy next door guy, and from the Bay Area. I saw on Twitter some picture of him getting on the.
Oh, he was on the Lolita Express. He was on the Lolita Express. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, Tom Hanks. I'm not so convinced he's so squeaky clean.
Well,
at all.
Well, you'll find out soon enough.
Oh yeah, thousands of sealed indictments the minute they're released.
Pizzagate.
Now, amidst all of this, of course, we have the big nerd show going on in Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show, which neither of us pay attention to or would go to or really interested in at all, except Ivanka Trump. Ivanka Trump did a keynote, and apparently people were really outraged by what she said. And I have the clip of her outrage.
What did she say?
Well, I have a clip, and the clip will also explain that people were outraged. I personally, when I listen to this, it's only 33 seconds by coincidence. I'm outraged by her dropping her T's. So just bear with it. You'll hear it, and then maybe we can figure out what was truly offensive to everybody else.
Many of the industries, tech support, cybersecurity jobs, not all of them require a bachelor's degree. So thinking, and you had mentioned, Gary, the importance of defining work based on skills rather than credentials is incredibly important and requires a major shift in our thinking.
It's hard to imagine that would have caused a controversy. That, of course, is Ivanka Trump on the stage giving the keynote speech at CES. For some reason, some people were outraged at what she was saying. Liz Clay.
So I don't know, maybe because you don't need a bachelor's degree or something like that, or I don't know what it was. I just couldn't get past the important. She cannot be president if she can't pronounce T's in words like important.
Well, let's forget that side of it and try to figure out what it is that bothers everybody. I think there's a sense, especially in tech, there's this. I think it's like a fall. There's a word for this, and I can't come up with it because I didn't think about this topic. Where you need you have these phony baloney degrees that give you some sort of key to the kingdom, or if you don't have a degree, and somebody's really a natural computer person that can just code like a champ and sees through.
They're usually bass players.
Many of them.
Yeah. Great coders
are
the
point is they have these innate skills.
Right.
And
yes.
And so they should probably be, those skills should be exploited to the max, but not if you're going to say, well, you don't have a bachelor's degree, so we can't give you that job. That's the element.
Something, something like that. It's something. Well, it has to be STEM. You're anti-STEM if you say people can just do it without an education. Maybe that's part of it.
Maybe. Well, it's something that we need to figure out.
Well, have you been watching any of the coverage from CES? What are the great new gadgets and what are the fantastic consumer electronics that we're going to see in our homes that are now being presented?
I don't know, but I'm waiting for some more unboxings.
Well,
because it's really the box that matters.
I have a couple of reports. Of course, at the Consumer Electronics Show, we need to have more fake food. And now I can't believe it's not pork is on deck.
Okay. My new best friend. Are you ready? Here we go. I am taking a bite of the brand new, unveiled right here, Impossible Pork Slider. Banh mi sandwich. Tell me what's in it. Soy protein, right? Soy protein, sunflower oil, coconut oil. I like it. I'm not tasting pork per se. Interesting. Wait a minute, the aftertaste is coming.
You are tasting pork. Come on, they're advertising. Tell them about the aftertaste.
That's weird. Here it comes.
Really play it up here.
Wow. I like
Good job.
that. Thank you so much. I'm going to finish this in the commercial break. Pat Brown, the founder and CEO of Impossible Foods. Congratulations. Thank you very much. You know, real American...
Yeah. Clearly it tasted like shit, which is in it. And he's like, well, I don't taste anything. And then all of a sudden, oh, yes, the aftertaste. Would you burp it up? Disgusting. So that's a product I don't need. What other great products are out there at CES? This is where it all comes down, people. This is the future of your life is right here at the Consumer Electronics Show.
Rich DeMiro here at CES 2020 in Las Vegas, here in the LG booth, and I found a refrigerator that does something pretty unique.
Wow! Finally, John, we're there! It's going to order the milk when you need it.
Mark Vitanza from LG is here to tell us all about it. Thank you for chatting about this fridge. What does this do?
So it's an indoor cultivating machine that allows you to grow up to 20 different types of vegetables, okay, indoors, okay, self-contained, okay, controlling all the environments that you would have indoors. So you're getting precise humidity, watering, and light source to give you the best cultivating for different vegetables, within a certain...
Hey, can I grow weed in that sucker?
He said vegetables. Go back. He says vegetables.
He's so excited, that he's tripping over his word. This, by the way, is what passes as technology reporting. There are reporters who make a lot of money doing exactly this. It's disheartening.
Watering and light source to give you the best cultivating for different vegetables, within a certain column refrigerator.
Now, am I just planting seeds, or does this require some special equipment?
Great question. So it comes in this...
It's not a great question.
Specific disposable pods. So each particular unit here is a specific pod. So once you're finished cultivating, the pods are...
Do you get it yet, John?
Disposable.
And finally, what types of items can I grow, and when can we expect to see this in our kitchens?
Don't have the expectation on when it's coming to market, but primarily leaf vegetables. Smaller, lower growing leaf vegetables.
Maybe some fresh basil.
Many different herbs, lettuce, kale, things of that nature.
Kale?
All right, you heard it first. And what's this refrigerator called?
It's part of the Signature Kitchen Suite brand.
What is it called? This is where you say the brand. This is where you say the name of the product. That's not ever coming out, because that's what CES is bullshit. They have nothing Nothing new to show you.
Why do I want to grow basil in my refrigerator? All you can do is a seed. You could grow it on your windowsill. You can grow it anywhere. It's like a weed.
He should say weed. I'd be interested. What is the name of the product?
All right, you heard it first. And what's this refrigerator called?
The Weederator.
It's part of the Signature Kitchen Suite brand.
Here at LG. All right, finding some neat things here at CES 2020.
So neat.
If you want to learn more about this fridge, go to my website. It is richontech.tv. Reporting from Las Vegas, I'm Rich DeMuro. Back to you.
Great report, Rich. Really fantastic. Why didn't you suggest weed? Okay.
That's what he should have done. That would have made it more interesting, because then the guy would have okayed himself out of there.
And none of this is like Sony introduces an electric vehicle, but we're never going to make it. All of this. And then this one from CNET, which also known as CBS Interactive, real people getting paid real money to go to this real show and deliver this shit, literally.
So this cute little guy is the Charmin robot. And the idea is, if an emergency strikes and you're in the bathroom and you run out of this valuable material, the Charmin robot will be able to bring it to you, lickety-split, and you'll be able to use your phone to control it.
Okay, just want to set the scene. The guy's sitting on the floor of the booth. There's a little, he calls it a robot. It's like a little two-wheel device. It's about the size of a Folgers coffee can. And on top of it is a roll of toilet paper. This is the innovation of 2020. If you are taking a crap and you notice that your slaves didn't hang up a new roll of paper or put one underneath the sink like most people, Charmin is introducing a robot that it's not even robotics. You control it with your smartphone and apparently it already has a roll of toilet paper sitting on top of it in the corner of your house, which is a great conversation starter. And then you can have it, and apparently you're also not downstairs or upstairs, you're on the same level. It will roll towards you, and you can steer this thing to bring you a roll of toilet paper.
How does it open the bathroom door?
And then you don't have to worry and get up and embarrass yourself. It's trying right now to balance itself. See, it has a self-balancing technology. Woo! Boom, there it is. So it can handle its own weight. It can handle the weight of the toilet paper. It works a little bit like a Segway.
No, it works exactly like a Segway, which is technology from 15 years ago.
It connects to your phone via Bluetooth, and then you can remote control it to go where you want, which, is to you on the toilet, because you need the toilet paper. You're not going to be able to buy this for a little bit. Still, it's cute. It's very enthusiastic. It's already spinning its wheels again, and it's going to bring you what you need the most at that moment when you need it the most.
Just-in-time shit paper. That's right, everybody. I'm so dismayed by this. So dismayed. What has happened? Remember the good old days?
This is your beat now.
No.
We want to report on every show with more stuff like this.
It's so sad. Okay, I think I saw some folding screens. Okay. Woo. That's so crazy. I tell you, I can fold my screen. I got a flip phone. But now impressive would be, you got to take a dump, the thing rolls up right underneath, you just poop into a hole on top and it rolls away, and done. That's impressive. Not something that you have to steer with your Bluetooth connected phone to navigate through your house. Just get up like everybody else. Clench and go get it. Of course, this robot will also never go into production because, once again, what is Charmin doing at CES? And I think there's room for innovation.
Free publicity on CBS Interactive.
Yeah, I think there's room for innovation in the toilet paper arena, but this is not it.
I've never liked Charmin. I've always thought it was too slippery.
Oh, I like Charmin. That's my favorite. I'm all about the Charmin.
Well, you've never tried. If you want to try toilet paper, which you'll rarely find, but if you can ever find it, it's from Zellerbach, and it's called Z-E-E.
Zellerbach. Hold on. Zellerbach?
Yeah, it's a big paper company. But they make a toilet paper called just Z-E-E. That stuff's unbelievable.
Now, what are the unbelievable benefits of the product.
It's like a cleaning machine. It just works like a champ. It's just fabulous. I don't want to go into the details. I know you'd find that interesting, but
well, hold on. No, I do find it interesting. Let's see. They've been around for a long time. This is 1950.
From Cincinnati, the Delta Queen starts her 20-day cruise.
Oh, it's very soft.
To St. Paul and back.
Okay, I can't play that one. I was just looking.
Hear it.
Nah, it's not going to work. Hey, I've never heard of Z, but they've been around for a long time. Is that the
Forever.
Is that the toilet paper your mom was afraid the Chinese were buying up?
No, she's never seen Z. She just, whatever the Chinese were buying, she'd buy that. Whatever, and it could have been anything. Yes, my mom was always fearful. When she went to the store and she saw a bunch of Chinese buying toilet paper, she figured the end was near. So she bought as much toilet paper as she could afford at the time.
Now you can buy it
crazy little moment. The Chinese are buying it. I got to buy some.
You can buy it online. I'll try some. I'm always in for a better experience.
Z is available online?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Get some and see what you think. That's ludicrous, by the way. That's how bad things have gotten.
What?
People wonder what's wrong with the country. That's what you just said there is what's wrong with the country.
What?
Toilet paper online. That's really the worst.
A case is $37. You get 40 rolls.
Can't you get one roll somehow?
I'll get one. Don't worry. And please do not send it to the P.O. box. It's very confusing for the postal workers.
Why does this guy get so much toilet paper in the mail? What's he up to? Call the FBI.
Oh, my goodness.
You see something? Say something.
Oh, boy. I can't believe you brought that up because there are new jingles for the Department of Homeland Security's See Something, Say Something campaign. Now, for those of you who have not been a part of the Value for Value Network for a while, years and years and years ago when the MTA, the Manhattan Transit Authority, introduced and copyrighted the If You See Something, Say Something slogan, we immediately had a jingle for them made by the genius Sir Jeff Smith, and we have been trying to get them to use this for years. This is what it is.
If you see something, say something.
Totally catchy. All the kids get it. It's on message. It's easy to remember. No, they've never used it, and now they're doing the stupidest thing ever. They're shortening the slogan.
Why? Why do we ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right? The answer to why defines who we are. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my friends.
For my community.
For my family.
For each other.
Because all of this matters.
We all have something worth protecting. So why do you see safe? Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
So they've now shortened this to CSAY, like it's a new verb. What do you CSAY?
That's dumb.
Thank you. CSAY.
Well, I want you to play our jingle again, and remind people out there that it's there for the taking. I mean, we will gladly pass it along as a public service. Like a little thank you.
Yeah,
maybe
thank you.
Some money.
Yeah.
A couple of bucks, a big donation.
A couple shekels. I mean, just saying.
I think $2,000 would do it, don't you think?
2,000.
What do you think?
No, that would be just for Jeff Smith alone. If this is a national campaign, no, it'd be much more. But we'd be happy if they use it for free. It's just a suggestion.
If you see something, say something.
What do you say?
Oh, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. What else had happened while we were gone?
Well, let's see. I think we had some Green New Deal stuff. Oh, yes.
Oh, I have a clip I want you to just pay a little attention to.
Okay.
Play the Snowden has got to go clip.
Snowden has got to go.
The very latest on the international standoff over NSA leader Edward Snowden. He is still in Moscow at this hour. President Putin defying the U.S., saying the Russians will not turn him over, but also telling Snowden publicly it's time to go. ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross has been tracking all of the very latest. Good morning, Brian.
Well, good morning.
Wait a minute. Putin told him it's time to go?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the thing about it is this is a clip from 2003.
Oh, you bastard. Well, it's time to go. It's really time to go now.
It's time to go.
Hey, Ed, it's really time to go, man. Okay, Green New Deal. First of all, the rains really started coming in Australia. And we get no credit for it, but I'm going to take some of it because I really believe rain sticks work. Our rain sticks are highly tuned precision instruments. We've been trained on how to use them. They're not made just by some, children gluing stuff together in China. It's made in Utah, Sacred Grounds by Sherry Osborne, and it's working. Granted, our direction was a little off. Apparently, a lot of our rain stick action hit Indonesia and didn't quite make it to the spots in Australia that were necessary. But you saw people dancing in the rain. I mean, you can call it coincidence. I'm calling it the rain stick.
I think so too. I don't like to flip this thing around randomly. It's actually dangerous.
Well, because you can get a lot of rain in the wrong places. Anyway,
by the way, it's 2013 that clip, not 2003. In case anybody corrects me,
just as good as far as I'm concerned.
Well, it's 7 years ago.
Well, I'm going to do the same to you then, since you did that.
It's no good if you give me the clue.
I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it all of a sudden.
Oh, you've done it before.
So now we have confirmation that nearly 200 people were arrested across Australia for deliberately starting bushfires, the so-called firebugs, the arsonists. I just got a video in this morning, closed caption TV in Australia, and there was an interesting take on it. You see, let me see, what was the, let me see if I can find the exact title of that. What did they title that? Brazen Teen Trio in Milton West. This is from The Age. So you see these three kids who I would say were kind of Greta Thunberg age, walking around, lighting an entire field on fire in Australia, and then running away. And the thing catches fire very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to wonder, I hadn't considered this, could some of the school strike children be so riled up by Greta that they feel to propagate the danger of climate change to prove a point that they have to help light some fires? Do you think that's possible?
I think absolutely. I've always thought two things. One, you have the environmental nut jobs, and this includes the tree huggers, the guys who spike trees. There's a bunch of them, the Earth First groups.
Yeah.
And then there's a terrorist possibility too, which is why wouldn't a terrorist organization, if there is one, just go around and light the whole country on fire? Well, this happened in the Civil War. They had these Confederate spies had moved in, all snuck into New York, and they were going to burn down the whole town. They almost did it. They just couldn't quite get it done. They were lighting hotels on fire.
Here's a clip.
In Australia, unseasonably hot temperatures combined with strong winds to fan the flames of nearly 100 wildfires. And 36 of the fires in New South Wales, the most populous state in the country, were burning out of control. Smoke plumes stretched for miles and even cast an orange haze over downtown Sydney. Conditions are still too intense to get an accurate number of how many homes have been destroyed.
And that was a clip from 2013, just to let you know that this is nothing new. But as you were just mentioning, another clip, this time from 2012.
Dick, the terror threat is in an Al-Qaeda newsletter online. It says forest fires are easy to start and hard to stop. The Las Conchas fire near Los Alamos last year was New Mexico's biggest ever, devouring everything in its path. It was started by a tree falling into a power line, but the state's Department of Homeland Security says that just shows how easy it would be for a terrorist with one match to cause widespread damage.
Do you remember this? Inspire magazine?
Yeah, the CIA publication.
These threats are threats, and we are at war still with an enemy that is bent on inflicting harm on us.
Those threats are in this English version Al-Qaeda newsletter called Inspire. It surfaced recently on the internet. It calls on sympathizers to start wildfires, giving them a step-by-step how-to guide, even highlighting the American Southwest as a region ready to go up in flames.
How come this is never brought up again? I know the answer, obviously. I'm being facetious.
What is the answer to it?
Because it was a CIA magazine to start with. It was bullcrap from the get-go.
Yeah, but the idea was valid.
The idea is valid, but how come it's not brought up? I didn't hear anyone talking about it.
I think, personally, I think that it may actually have occurred. I think some of the fires in California may have been started that way, not necessarily the newest ones. But the problem is that it doesn't get the message across. It doesn't create the terrorism message where, now we have to be afraid of these terrorists. Yeah. It always drops back, and any smart terrorist organization would know this, it falls back to global warming.
Yes.
So it's like we set the whole country on fire, and they don't even give us any credit. They blame global warming.
You're right. It's definitely crossing messages.
Yeah, so the messaging will not work using that technique, even though it works to burn down a lot of stuff, but it always falls back on global warming. And it may actually be a counterintelligence move to know, say you knew that this was all done, in Australia in particular, was done by either dumb kids starting stuff on purpose or terrorists. But the co-intel message would be, blame it on global warming, because we do not want to encourage people to light things up.
Right.
Global warming.
Now I think about it, how many of those California fires might have been helped along by some overzealous kids who were mind-controlled by the Greta message?
Could be all of them, for all we know.
This thing in Australia,
they can only blame one or two on PG&E.
Right. Now, I hope they really look into these kids in Australia. Did they do more of that? Were there more kids doing it? What is the motivation? That seems a very likely thing to me.
It seems likely to me too.
I've been working on our exit strategy, as always.
Yes.
Well, there is something going on in Texas which might work for us. I mean, it's not. Yeah. It would still mean work, but we could certainly make a lot of money if you're interested.
Well, the work part of it is kind of disconcerting.
Here's Shelby County, Texas.
Shelby County commissioners plan to pay more than $9,000 a month to a podcasting company to produce podcasts and market it on the internet.
Woo! This contract is so outrageous that it just baffles me why we're doing this.
Shelby County Commissioner Mick Wright is the lone commissioner who voted against paying the Kadzukian Network almost $110,000 to produce podcasts for the commission.
When you're talking about over $100,000, I mean, you could buy a small fleet of vehicles for that amount and still do a podcast.
The local I-Team found there are cheaper options in town. The OAM network operates out of the Crosstown Concourse. Here, a podcast costs $300 for the first episode and $100 per episode after that. OAM's owner questions why the county is even paying for podcasts when it video streams its meetings and also broadcasts them live on the radio. The owner of Kadzukian didn't want to comment for this story, but at the commission meeting, he explained the cost this way.
We really work with businesses and we work with government entities to make sure that they have a very high-end product.
John, it's that easy. There's a lot of counties. Every county. Listen, we work with a lot of businesses and we ensure you have a high-end quality product. The Curry Dvorak Podcast Production Group.
I would love to hear these high-end products from this guy.
I wonder if they've produced any yet. Shelby, that would be funny. I should have actually looked into that. I'm sorry. Podcast. Let's see. Shelby County Podcast. No. Nothing yet. But it's something we could consider. $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
For just one county.
For one county, do 1,000 counties. Boom.
We'll just stay on the podcasting tip for a moment. Thank you, everybody who emailed in a clip from the most recent Family Guy.
Peter, we have got to prove Lois is innocent. That's right. And the best way to crack any high-profile crime case is to do a podcast before you have all the facts. Okay. And the key to any podcast is poor sound quality and tons of commercials. All right, we've got Lois calling in from prison. She's only got 3 minutes.
Thanks for looking at my case, guys.
You bet, Lois. My first question is, do you get a good night's sleep?
No, because I'm in prison and my cellmate is bipolar.
Well, if you get a Casper mattress now, you have 100 days to decide if it's the right mattress for you.
Peter, I don't have time for this.
I don't have time for underwear that bunches up. That's why I wear MeUndies. Perfect underwear for hanging yourself in your jail cell.
Can we talk about the case? I have 30 seconds before they haul me off to the freaking cafeteria.
Sounds like you could use Blue Apron. Have you ever wanted to receive a vegetable in the mail? Then you need Blue Apron. I'm like obsessed with the stir fry. Brian here likes the Moroccan beef. I have no opinion on the Moroccan beef, Peter. Brian, this is not art. This is commerce.
Peter, before I go, I need a new lawyer. This one made a sexual pass at me.
Oh, boy, everyone knows hiring is a nightmare. At least it was before ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter. We vastly overestimate how many podcast listeners are in a position to hire someone.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
And indeed, we did have a few people help us out for show 1206.
That Family Guy is so spot on.
Yeah, because probably Seth and half the staff probably listens to podcasts and they hear of all this crap and they can't take it.
Yeah. Which is, and before we start into our value for value proposition, I would like to expand on that. What you just heard there, yes, it's funny. I like the vast overestimation of how many hireable people listen to podcasts. But above all, that is the limited universe of advertising, and they could have thrown in Squarespace. And because I was just interviewed the other day, and that's why I wanted to lay this rap down for a second, that you cannot monetize the network. I've said this for a long time. And in today's connected social network world, you can never get beyond these types of advertisers, which really, from a business sense, is such little marginal stuff. If you want, it's what Spotify or Pandora or whatever these companies think they're going to own podcasting, they will have to get automotive, pharmaceutical, alcohol. That's where the money is. Everything else is just margin. You cannot survive on that as a podcast network, podcast company. Sure, you can get by with your podcast, but cancel culture has brought us to this point where if someone just doesn't like your show, doesn't like your opinion, they go after your advertisers. This boat has sailed, it's done, and it's gone. We saw this a long time ago, fortuitously, because we may not be pulling in Joe Rogan money, but we're still on the air and very proud of it. And I think the show is better because we've opened it up for the listeners to become the producers. And producers produce in multiple ways, and one of them is taking care of the financial aspect.
I like the idea of pharmaceuticals. I'm watching some stuff yesterday on the TV, and it's like there were primetime television. The pharmaceutical companies have taken over that too. I mean, it's unbelievable.
If you watch the news,
you wonder what kind of what kind of illness you might have by watching some show. You can just watch the show.
Well,
yes.
I have a pro tip. No, I have a pro tip here. When the ads come on, I definitely I mute the sound, because these ads that are talking about all these horrible things you can have, I believe the ads will give you that.
That could be.
And I'm not kidding.
A lot of old women and superstitious people think that too.
Well, thanks. Jeez.
Old women are not necessarily wrong. Old women are known to be the best stock pickers.
I'm just saying that if you're continuously barraged by these horrible things that apparently people have, and
some of them are,
some of them are really bad. It's the rashes and the stomach stuff, and how many times that poor girl can't perform with the band because she's got to poop. I mean, I just don't want to hear it. You've seen it. You know who I'm talking about. I believe if you're infiltrated with that, it goes deep into your psyche. And before you know it, you're pooping everywhere. You can poop, but you're pooping all the time. You can't do.
You're pooping all the time.
You can't do the show. Yes, you can't do the performance. So anyway, there you go. Poor girl. Yes, poor girl. Anyway, luckily we don't have to deal with making you sick by playing ads about how we can help you get unsick if you're sick. It makes you sick. We don't have any ads at all. No corporate interest, which means we can talk about anything we want, and I think we prove that we do.
And we can thank anyone we want, starting with Sir Jellyhead, who's got a birthday or something coming up. He came in with $120.60. Very short list today, so we'll be done with it in a minute. Sir Brandon in Vista, California, $112.35. Steve Shevlin, $109.20. Sir Kevlar in Atlanta, Georgia, 8008. He's got a note. Boobs. Ms. Jamie of the Highway, $73.88. J.C. Fiore Kramer in Haarlem, Netherlands.
Yes.
Just outside of Amsterdam.
Haarlem.
69. Alexios Theakos. I'm guessing. It sounds Greek. I don't know, but he's in Utrecht. Utrecht. 60. Sir Milkman, 55.69. Sir Paul in Twickenham, 55.55. Matthew Shower, 55.10. Double nickels on the dime. Also Rene Dupont, double nickels on the dime. He's in Grosse Pointe.
No. She.
Oops.
And listen to this. Now listen. I'm female. That's for you. I only make $130 a week, so I'm trying to take advantage of Sir Dogpatch's offer. Crossing my fingers.
Oh, it's not Sir Dogpatch. It's Sir Onimus.
I'm just reading.
It'd be better to use his name.
It would be better to use his full title, Sir Onimus of Dogpatch in Lower Slobovia, but that might not have fit in the PayPal donation field.
But we're going to put, we're going to maybe suggest that Rene Dupont in Grosse Pointe, Michigan, become a knight from
Dame.
Dame. Well, knight, dame, okay. Maybe she wants to be a knight. There is one woman that is a knight. Sean Cardinal in Saskatchewan. Well, what do you mean Saskatchewan? It has to be Saskatoon.
Yes.
5347.
And that is for some baby-making karma for Sir Paul the Black. Okay. Well, we shall.
The following people are $50 donors, name and location. Sir Jason DeLuzio in Chatsford, Pennsylvania. Drew Mochak in El Cerrito, right down the street from me. Sir Kevin, protector of the Kiama blowhole. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio. There's a blowhole in Iceland I got to see.
Oh.
Waves come in and then boom, big thing goes up in the air. It's called a blowhole. Jonathan Meyer is not what you think.
Let me just read his note. It's amazing. Blowhole's note. It's amazing. I asked Adam for some rain stick karma for the Aussie bushfires. Next day, it rained a little. First time in months. Then some more the next day. It works. And he says, please accept this donation for a long, slow shake of your rain sticks. No. For long, slow soaking rain. I'm wary of this, John. I do not think we should be sticking.
I agree.
I think we should wait.
It's something we can't just abuse.
I think more is on the way, so I don't think we have to do anything. I gave 3 extra shakes after my three turns. So,
Jonathan Meyer, you've gone rogue. Jonathan Meyer in Xenia, Ohio at 50. Edward Mazurek in Memphis, Tennessee. R. Tabak in
the Netherlands. Meppel. Oh, really? There's René Tabak from Meppel. Meppel is the very, that's, I don't know if it's that way anymore, but Meppel was the home of the Black Sock Church.
Black Sock Church?
Yeah, it's a very reformed, kind of...
well, the Lutherans
sect-like. No, sect-like. Almost
cult.
Culty, yeah. When I'm thinking more of Amish in a way.
Oh.
Religious, but Amish, yeah. They
gotcha.
Yeah, you got me? You hear me?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Larry Hay in Mooresville, North Carolina. Tony Smith in Fort Worth, Texas. And last but not least, Michael Rupert in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I want to thank all these folks for keeping the show going with the donations to show 1206. Another show coming up shortly. Hopefully we'll have a better response.
Yes, we do thank those who supported the show for today. Short list indeed. Also, thank you to everyone who came in under $50. That is typically done for anonymity, but when you look at what we have in subscriptions, there's people who do that as well, and I would like to recommend everybody at least pick up one subscription. In fact, I wanted to make mention one of our producers. This was from Sir Rocketman, Baron of the Bay. Adam and John, I got a raise, and so do you. Ought to be effective next month with my regular donation. Now it'll be $10 a month. And thank you very much. That is value for value, and we appreciate that. And please consider us for our next program. That will be on Sunday. Yes, Sunday. All you have to do is go to
Dvorak.org/NA.
as requested multiple times.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And also a very short birthday list. I don't know what's going on, but no one's celebrating except for Sir Jellyhead, who was posthumous. Post his date December 6th. And Sir Brandon says happy birthday to his smoking hot wife, Dame Illuminatia. Yes, we have the same sentiments. Happy birthday from everybody here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
Meetup is just like a party. Remember, we've got the big Delray Beach meetup on the 21st of February, which, I mean, now I think it's been straightened out. There's nothing listed now. After 7 people organizing a meetup, now there's nothing on the calendar. There. But it is happening, and it will be up on noagendameetups.com soon. For today, though, we have, it's probably, it's either underway or over by now. That would be the Beirut, Lebanon meetup. The No Agenda Tune Man Tour, that is Jesse Coy Nelson, and hopefully some of you made it to the rabbit hole in Makdisi Street, Beirut, Lebanon. He will be checking in later to let me know for sure. Saturday, Long Island has a meetup at 7:30. Let's see, Andrew Grasso is your host. Meet at the St. James Restaurant and Bar, 7:30. Also on Saturday, is this the new time? No, that is the time. Then next Thursday, they plan it on Thursday, so I can't attend, is the Austin Local 512 meetup. That'll be at Doc's Backyard in Sunset Valley. I may try to, what time is he doing? 7 o'clock. I may drop by.
You can shoot over there.
Yeah, 7 p.m. And that is worth it. Sir Scott.
Shower up.
Yeah, shower up. Lather up. Head off to the meetup. Sir Scott Barnett of the Armory, No Agenda Armory, and his wife Christine will be hosting that. Next Friday, the Charlotte meetup, number 2, 7 o'clock at the Sycamore Brewing establishment. Look for the large crackpot and buzzkill heads. And then there's a time change for next Saturday, as noted on my paper here. Previously at 2 o'clock, now at 5 o'clock. This is New York City, the New York City meetup. Join us in the afternoon in the heart of the city of swollen amygdalae for much-needed post-holiday midwinter relief and joyous camaraderie. Meet your fellow No Agenda New Yorkers. We know you're out there. And, of course, all those in the general metropolitan area are welcome. We meet at the Lorelei Beer Garden. Athena and Alex will be hosting that. And on the other coast, this is how insane this is. People are organizing these everywhere in the world. Also, on next Saturday, Flight of the No Agenda. That will be Los Angeles, 2 o'clock PST. This will be held in FEMA Region 9 at the Proud Bird Food Bazaar near LAX. Leo Bravo hosting that. And just go to, also next Saturday will be the second stop of the No Agenda Toon Man Tour. That's Jesse Coy Nelson. He will be in the Amigo Pub in Amman, Jordan. I hope people show up. I know there's people out there listening. I hope you go and support Jesse Coy Nelson on his tour. And go to noagendameetups.com. That's where you can find all the meetups near you. If you don't find one, here's an idea. Start one yourself. It's a great place to get together with people, new people you've never met, non-triggering conversation. Amygdalas are normal-sized, and everyone seems to have fun. We've not had a fight break out at one of them yet. Yet. Actually, I wanted to play... I had a gaff clip, which I completely forgot. For you. I have a gaff clip that you were playing the gaffs, Trump gaffs?
Yeah.
I have a gaff clip. It's not Trump, but I wanted to play this because I feel bad I missed this. This was on Fox News.
The president making it very clear that the suggestion that was kind of misfired from the Pentagon yesterday is actually not the case at all, that the United States is committed to staying and protecting and standing with our Iraqi allies and the soldiers that we've trained there. What's the feeling on the ground about all of that tonight?
Well, look, the Iranians have been trying to increase their foothold in the Middle East for some time now. Many analysts in the region describe the possibility of Americans being forced out of Iraq as a posthumous victory for Qasem Soleimani, who was killed last week.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, posthumous.
Do you think he meant that?
The hell does that even mean?
Well, I think he meant to say
posthumous.
I think he meant to say posthumous.
Yeah,
but it came out posthumous.
But you don't know. Maybe he never really said the word.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm reminded of words I used to say wrong. You know, a chouse is a good example. When I was a kid, I would say chouse
instead of
chaos.
Yeah, chouse.
It's spelled chouse.
It's chouse. I love chouse. It's so good.
CHAOS. How is that? How would any kid think that that's pronounced chaos?
Yeah,
I ask you.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Well, I have a note from, I want to read, from Sir Psycho Mike. No, Sir Psycho Myco, 96.
Mm-hmm.
This is an important note. ITM, the brown marmorated stink bug has been in western Maryland since the mid-aughts, first being found in shipping containers in Allentown, Pennsylvania in 1998. It is an epidemic, and we have had it for years, with thousands of them clinging to our brick houses in the fall, and many getting in through the crevices. There seems to be heavy years, and some do not, and some not so heavy, although you'll always see them in the fall. Please note, do not vacuum them.
Yeah, bad.
Do not smash or excite them. Their stink attracts more stink bugs. On the worst years, we keep a medium-sized tote on the back porch filled with soapy water and deposit live bugs into it. On light years, there was less bugs, we flush them down the toilet, although in California that probably isn't an option. Ha, ha, ha. I've lived in the same house for 18 years on Sidling Hill Mountain, and it's only had maybe 50 mile an hour. This is a different topic, but he had felt like throwing it in. And we've only had maybe 1 or 2 50-mile-an-hour windstorms a year. For the past 2 years, we get 50-mile-an-hour windstorms at least 20 times a year. This again, I'm thinking weather machine.
Mm-hmm.
Twice this year, in fact. This happened all at once. I've never heard an explanation for this weather pattern, which I see is caused by temperature swings that only last a couple of hours. I.e., it's in the 30s 1 minute, the temperature will ramp over 60 in no time and then be back down to 30 with huge winds. Also, maybe related, maybe not, I've noticed sometimes dramatic temperature inversion happening quite frequently. Thank you for your courage, Sir Psycho Michael.
All right. Well,
stink bug alert. People need to pay attention. Somebody wrote me a note complaining that he was listening to the show as we were talking about stink bugs, and there was a stink bug on his desk.
Yeah, we actually called the stink bug, apparently.
Yeah.
CNN settled their lawsuit with Nick Sandmann. This is one of the Covington Catholic High School kids. Sandmann is suing a number of mainstream outlets, including the Washington Post. And CNN, apparently they settled with CNN, which is, I think is kind of sad. Because I would love to see, the documents, discovery, we would get to know a lot more about how CNN works and how they just allow triggered individuals to go and blame whatever they think is on their screen, on their Dimension A screen. We won't know now.
Or Dimension B string.
Dimension B, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, get that right.
So there's nothing more to say about that. I hope the kid got a lot of money.
I hope so, too.
Borden is now the second large U.S. milk producer to file for bankruptcy. And they cite the nut sap industry as the reason.
Well, that's pathetic.
Well, you're the one that's always, it's kind of your beat. You're the one that's always complaining about this, milk substitute products. And
yeah, that aren't milk.
No, they're not. They're nut sap. We've been through this, but
nut goo.
No, I think it's
nut slurry.
Nut slurry is the term. Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting, though. What happens? Milk could just go away, I guess, or become a specialty product. It is kind of handy for cooking.
It's actual food. I mean, the other stuff, is questionable. Some of the stuff, soy milk, for example, which is very popular and it's got to be bad for you. Seems to me. Yeah. There's all these issues with people having all kinds of hormone problems by ingesting too much soy. There's a lot of research on this. Always gets squashed.
Definitely.
Men developing breasts from the estrogen effects of soy.
Mm-hmm.
Not unusual.
Mm-mm.
And it's not, what is food? I mean, humans, mammalians are milk dependent. So they get started in life.
I just wanted to hear you say the word milk. I just love that.
Am I saying milk again?
Yeah, but that's, it's the Dutch word is also M-E-L-K, milk.
Yeah, well, that's where Corey came from.
Yeah.
I can say milk, but
no, milk I know. Is more, it just pops out. There will be a new source for us to mine soon. It will be the BNC, the Black News Channel, which will be launched in February. They intended to launch initially in November, but they changed according to this article, they changed the date for it to coincide with Black History Month, which is in February. Which is easy to remember because it has the least amount of days and it's very cold. Which is, I got that from Mo. Which is easy to remember Black History Month. I'm excited about that. I want to see what will a Black News Channel bring.
It's going to be more Trump hate. Why would it be any different than anything else?
Because one of the co-founders is J.C. Watts, former Republican congressman. I don't know. Maybe not.
Oh, well, maybe, yeah. Watts kind of switched back over to the Dimension B side.
So Watts and Bob Brillante? Who's Bob Brillante?
Sounds like an Italian to me.
He looks pretty Goomba. Looking at the picture.
Well, whoa.
Okay. They want to attract millennial viewers. 98% of whom have cell phones. Yeah, duh. More than two. Okay, what's the point here?
They're going to put the news on the cell phone.
Yeah, but they're launching it on cable channels. So, well, February 10th. I'll be watching. I'm excited. Something new. Have you followed any of those? If you go up above,
it's going to be on Pluto.
Well, if you go past CNBC and all that stuff, have you seen Cheddar?
Oh, yeah, Cheddar.
Well, I mean, Cheddar is the oddest.
And Newsy. That's the other one. Cheddar and Newsy.
It's kind of like millennial news.
It's terrible. It's very unprofessional.
Yeah, but it's what I think kids are watching it.
I don't think anyone's watching it.
No, I watch it. I love Cheddar.
Well,
I love
you're
me
probably the
some
only
Cheddar.
one.
I love me some Cheddar.
We've got the 2 viewers today.
I want to thank Lorraine, Tyler, Grace Ann, and Eileen, who sent the Keeper and I a fantastic wedding gift, which was not necessary, but I got it. There was a huge box in the P.O. box. Penzeys Spices. Are you familiar with this? Penzeys Spices, Pnzeys.
No, yeah, you think I'd know that?
Yeah, you'd think you would, but it's a box filled with just great smelling spices and different kinds of salts and some different peppers. And I mean, the biggest problem is my spice rack won't hold it, so I have to figure out what to do with it. But cooking with it for sure.
New spice rack.
Yeah, there's probably 30 different spice bottles in this pack, so it's big.
Oh, is there anything really obscure? Are there any blends?
It's blends. Yeah, it's mainly blends. And thank you, Jumbo Joe, who sent me, what do you say, Merry Christmas?
Yes, I want to send a thank you to Jumbo Joe. He sent me the same thing.
You got this super mint oil pull-in mouthwash?
I don't know what to do with it.
Oh,
it's oil. It's a bottle of oil.
Yeah, and what you do is you swish it in your mouth for 3 minutes. And it pulls all of the dirt and grime off of your teeth that may still be there after brushing. And if you do it for 20 minutes, you don't even have to go to the dentist for a year. It's fact. It's true.
Fact.
I like this stuff.
You tried it?
Yeah, of course.
How much you have to put in your mouth?
Just a little bit.
A little bit? I thought you had to fill your mouth with oil.
No, just a tip. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of oil. Just take a swig, like mouthwash. Except it's kind of disgusting because it's.
Is it a shot glass full or less?
Less.
How much less? Is it a quarter shot glass? Half shot glass?
I just did a quarter. Between a quarter
shot glass.
Yeah, quarter shot glass. And you just swish it around, and it's a mouth douche. It's fantastic. It pulls the dirt and stuff.
Sure, it does.
It's oil pulling. This is not new. It's not new. It's actually a very old concept.
It's an old idea when people didn't have toothbrushes.
Right. Well, maybe the toothbrush was the start of all the decay.
Could be. Because people, God knows, nobody had tooth decay or missing teeth back in the 1700s.
At all. Nothing at all. Last story for me, which I think there's some confusion going on. Where do I have it here? Yes. I've reported on this a couple times, but this is a first full report with the FBI involved now.
For the last week, Michelle Eckhoff has spotted a high-flying nighttime mystery above her rural northern Colorado home. Drones, sometimes a dozen or more with wingspans 6 feet wide.
The sky is lit up with Christmas lights, basically. There's lights and things flying all over.
Sheriff's departments across the border area of 3 states have been flooded with similar reports since mid-December.
I think whomever is responsible for it will probably have a little bit of answering to do to the general public.
The military and local companies have denied responsibility.
There's one hovering over here.
We waited with Eckhoff until the sun went down and the skies lit up.
It's been dark for about a half hour and we are seeing drones all over the sky. They appear as little twinkling lights. Sometimes there's just one, but in other cases we've seen clusters of 6 or more.
Tonight there are still more questions than answers, and residents are feeling vulnerable.
It feels like an invasion of privacy almost.
And a new development late today, one of the sheriff's offices says it is now looking for a closed box trailer with antenna or a large suspicious van and is asking anyone who has seen it to call authorities.
I find this pretty interesting. So it was Colorado, now it's Nebraska.
Yeah, something's up.
Well, there is one other thing.
Is there any theories out there about this?
No. I mean, military denies it. Law enforcement denies it's theirs. I don't know how people can determine so easily that the wingspan is 6 feet. It's very difficult to do that from the ground.
It's impossible.
You have to be really need to know your drones and your
Mimi
aviation.
has a theory.
Oh, what is it? I'd love to hear Mimi's theory. Let's call her.
She says it's Amazon and UPS. They're mapping the area so they can do their drone deliveries. They're just mapping drones.
Possibly. But
I mean, it's just a theory. I don't buy it.
No, I mean, it would be kind of foolish for them with what they're trying to do that without clearing that with airspace and authorities. What I told her. Yeah, it makes no sense.
It says, no, it's bullcrap.
Glad we didn't call her. There is one other thing that can be at play as Elon Musk now has his Starlink satellites going into place. I think he now has 120 or 180 of them in orbit, very low Earth orbit. And
there's only okay.
No, there's
only 60 of them. I didn't know there was that many.
No, they've had 3 launches. It's 60 at a pop. And but what they do is they communicate amongst themselves with laser, and because of this, they're obviously lit up in the sky. And if you look, there's a lot of videos and pictures. It's this complete, almost straight line of all of these lights that are just going by, passing overhead. He's already apparently sent a tweet from it because this is the internet anywhere from space. But there's a couple of things that are controversial about it. And the biggest one is that it's messing up astrology. The light pollution from these things is...
Astrology. You mean astronomy?
Astronomy, I'm sorry. Yes. Astronomy. The light pollution is... screwing up experimentation, is making it impossible during certain windows when these things fly over for astronomers to do whatever they're doing. I kind of find it creepy myself. He plans to have, I think, 12,000 ultimately.
Skynet.
Kind of. And people are now starting to question how Tesla automobiles will be involved in this, because the Starlink system, while it will work great if you're stationary and you put a little box outside and it'll receive and transmit. But in order for that to work ubiquitously around wherever you are, you'll need ground stations. And there's some evidence pointing to Tesla vehicles being used as a Starlink downlink and ground station, which is kind of a cool idea, but I don't think everyone's happy that he's going to be using their vehicles for it.
Yeah, I didn't buy a car so he could use it as a base station.
Yeah, but it's kind of crazy when you think about it. He's going to have 12,000 of those little, and they're not even that little. I think they're a couple feet in size.
Until they start plummeting to Earth, it'll be quite pretty.
Well, he says that, or he or whoever the spokeshole is for Starlink says that 95% of the satellite burns up when it departs orbit. So we won't get only 5% of the junk will fall on our heads. But
well, that's fine.
But just the idea that there's all these lights in the sky. I mean, it's my sky too.
Well, apparently it's not your sky, chump.
Just find it interesting. These elites can do whatever they want.
So I have a 4-clip blitz, if you don't mind.
Holy crap, I wasn't prepared for this. Well, yes, I think this is a grand idea. This will be it then. This is how we're going to get out of here. Okay, clip blitz. I need to set the line of scrimmage. Okay, and I think... I think we are ready. And
okay, let's start with TikTok.
Starting with what? With what?
TikTok ban.
TikTok ban.
And the U.S. Army ban on a hugely popular app. The military banning soldiers from using the Chinese-owned video app TikTok on government-owned phones, calling it a security concern. This after a similar move by the Navy earlier this month.
Facebook's dropping deep fakes.
Facebook is taking aim at deep fakes. The site is now banning certain types of videos which have been manipulated with artificial intelligence to make people do or say something they didn't. The ban would not affect parodies, satire, or clips edited to change the order of words.
It's another No Agenda.
Earthquake.
state of emergency in Puerto Rico.
A 6.4 magnitude tremor leveling businesses and homes, damaging schools. This church completely destroyed. The powerful earthquake killing 73-year-old Nelson Martinez. A wall had collapsed on his bed. Emergency crews now dealing with the aftermath. Hundreds now in shelters, many in tents, afraid to go back inside.
Red 33! Blitz.
Delta Airlines.
More than 500 Delta Airlines employees are suing Land's End, the company that makes their uniforms, alleging that the chemically treated fabrics in the uniform were causing migraines, hair loss, rashes, and other medical issues. Most of the workers suing are flight attendants, but they also include ramp and gate agents and Sky Club workers. Pilots do not wear the same uniforms. Land's End did not respond to a request for comment from CNN. Delta was not named in the lawsuit, but a rep for the airline says its top priority is the safety of employees, but it defended the uniforms, saying they underwent rigorous testing and the airline believes they're safe.
Red 33! Blitz.
Well, if you want to finish something off, we can play an ISO from Donald Trump missiles.
Okay.
Our missiles are big, powerful, accurate, lethal, and fast.
I have some ISOs for end of show that I'd like to try. That one's a little long. I have this one.
That is brand new information.
That one or this one.
Yes, science.
That one. Kind of like that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Do you have any other ISOs to test?
Not really. No, that was the only one.
Okay, well, we're going to use that one then. That sounds like the way to go. That will be it for our deconstruction extravaganza for today. We do have that Larry show coming up with an exclusive interview with John McAfee, if you're listening to NoAgendaStream.com. I actually heard part of that yesterday, so give that a shot. End of show mixes, which I need to credit properly. We've got Cyborg Dave, we've got Eric Colburn, we've got Tom Starkweather, and we've got Sir Chris Wilson. And a reminder that we will be here on Sunday, the second Thursday of the week. You never know what can happen between show day 1 and show day 2, so you best show up. And if you appreciated the deconstruction you received on any of these programs, please consider sending that value to us in monetary form. Dvorak.org/NA is where you can do that. And coming to you from Opportunity Zone 33 here in the frontier of Austin, Texas, FEMA Region number 6 in the governmental maps in the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from Northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We return on Sunday right here on No Agenda. Until then, adios, mofos and such. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Hey, everybody.
Go to Joe 30330 and help me in this fight. Thank you very much.
Joe Biden's head went into Detroit, found 50 black women, and they trained them. And his conclusion is, if you can shovel coal into a furnace, you can code.
They went out into the neighborhoods. They found 54, happened to be all women, not by intention, mostly women of color with a few exceptions, ages 24 to 52 or 4.
You need to code.
And I remember telling people this, my liberal friends were saying, you can't expect them to be able to do that. Give me a break.
He took 50 black women in Detroit and they turned on the sewer. Doesn't get much more intersectional than that.
Anybody who can go down 300 to 3,000 feet in the mine sure enough can learn how to program as well.
Okay.
Anybody who can throw coal into a furnace can learn how to program, for God's sake.
People who are not even miners, but just shovel coal into a furnace maybe on that train, you can code.
Does he even know? Can he code? Just sit there and code a modern game? Yeah, they can hunt the Wumpus. They might be able to do that.
With a little bit of hard work and some science and math.
Code.
He can't even remember He can't even remember his own text code, let alone that he can code something.
330.
What's a Wumpus, by the way? Should we know what hump the Wumpus means?
Hunt.
I want to hump the Wumpus.
going down.
Don't eat me, Bo Jordan. You're scary, so scary.
Great, get some cooks. By the way, it's called popping bottles. Popping bottles in the club. Popping bottles in the club. Crystal, Dom Perignon, Dom. Popping bottles in the club. If you're gonna spray, get some cooks. It's called. Popping bottles here in the club. Bottles in the club. Bottles in the club. Popping bottles in the club.
Relax.
The computer is processing the data. I will be notified as soon as there is any information.
And I want to be careful here. Any advertiser or campaign, I know we're working with them. I believe that
its goal is to sell everything to everyone.
Why am I seeing this ad?
Well, that's a great question.
Your user agreement sucks.
We see more passive listening and passive monitoring in our own homes with
the information we've accumulated on.
we provided support to the Trump campaign.
And he's been terrific. He may be a globalist, but I still like him.
He was calling those things that was not as though they were, is what he was doing then.
Yes.
He is seriously a globalist, there's no question. But
there has never been a company quite like Amazon.
Kin to a game of whack-a-mole.
Goodbye and f*** you.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Yes, science!
You are listening to NoAgendaStream.com, the best source of music, talk, and infotainment in the universe. NoAgendaStream.com. Up next, Hookers and Blow.
You're listening to NoAgendaStream.com. All talk, no commercials, no agenda.
The Safari Park.
You're killing me, Larry!
Hello, Larry. Hello, Larry. Hats off to Larry.
Larry. Fucking Larry.
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 Larry, get into bed now.
This is episode 236 of That Larry Show, now in its third year. In addition to these 236 episodes are several dozen bonus episodes, which are available only to those who help support the show. That's well over 100 hours of content, and in all that time, I have never had a guest. Until now. Why not? Because I was waiting to bring you, not a celebrity. Those are really common, especially here in Los Angeles. I wanted to bring you someone who transcends mere fame and celebrity. I wanted to interview a living legend. I have such a man for you. And coincidentally, this man will reveal for the first time that I know of the names of two enormously powerful American political figures who want him dead. There are some prosaic paths to fame, athletics, entertainment, and politics being the most common. John McAfee has a flavor of fame that cannot be categorized. His name for many years was a corporate brand, McAfee Antivirus Software. At that time, I didn't know who John McAfee was. I didn't even know if there was a John McAfee or if it was just a made-up trade name. I'd imagine most of his customers were equally unaware. The brand was eponymous. Does anybody think or care if some guy named Campbell actually makes the soup? Then I recalled reading somewhere that there was a guy named McAfee and that he sold his company for hundreds of millions. Another tech tycoon. Well, good for him, whoever he was. And I forgot about him. Until some years ago, I stumbled on a YouTube video that was wild and fresh and bizarre and very funny. the John McAfee, surrounded by several voluptuous, luscious, lascivious women, like some kind of 007 poster come to life. In that video, he's wearing a pistol and snorting a pile of white powder and lighting cigarettes with $100 bills and talking about what shit the McAfee antiviral software company has become since he sold it 15 years before. As he speaks, the libidinous women stroke and fondle him. How he managed to keep talking as this was going on is a testament to the guy's focus. Eventually, the women remove his shirt. Then, he pulls the pistol from his shoulder holster and blasts a laptop. Kaboom. And I looked at this video and I laughed and applauded and thought, somehow, I have got to meet this fucking guy. I like him. Maybe there is something to that jazz about the universe answering requests. I never even verbalized my desire, but just a few days ago, I spent about an hour with John. I'm going to share part 1 of my conversation with him in just a little bit. But first, I need to back up a smidge. I spent vast chunks of my life toiling in corporate America. Big corporate America, mammoth companies with billions and billions in annual revenue. And to be honest, I hated nearly every fucking minute of it. Why? Because most of the guys running them were boring, uptight stiffs. They thought they were hip, slick, and cool, when in fact, they were dull and tacky schlubs. There were a handful of exceptions, but those exceptions never made it to the top because cool and creativity are really not prized in corporate America. Conformity is, agreement is, compliance is, and the most valued trait of all is obsequiousness. The sycophant is well rewarded. Boat rockers and rebels are not. Funny how the favorite cliche of corporate tools is, think out of the box. In point of fact, most of them live in a box. Little Fiesta-colored boxes made of tin, which if you turn the crank on the side, their corporate clown heads pop up on a spring. John McAfee is undeniably cool. He does not give a fuck what anyone thinks. That may well be the first and most critical component of cool. McAfee was not your typical software guy. Bill Gates is more the archetype, isn't he? Nerdy and safe and excruciatingly dull. But here's this McAfee in his video, like somebody playing a drug lord taunting the cops. Except he was too amusing, too articulate, not menacing enough. He didn't have dead eyes that hellbound people usually do. This guy was just having fun, a lot of fun. And then his fame grew. He lived in Belize. He was falsely accused of murder. He fled the country. There were several documentaries done about him. His fame was morphing into infamy. He was becoming notorious. I watched a couple of those documentaries, you know the ones, 48 Hours or Dateline, those things. And then there was a feature-length film that really slammed him. But a guy like McAfee doesn't capsize because a few media assholes try to torpedo him. Like they say, you can't keep a good man down. McAfee is buoyant. Over the last few years, while on the run from various entities, mostly U.S. government agencies, he has amassed a huge and loyal following on Twitter. His tweets have made various cryptocurrencies skyrocket or flame out. His exploits have crossed over from the realm of adventure to the stuff of legend. John McAfee has the rarest of all varieties of fame. He is a living legend. Unlike most famous people, he didn't acquire his fame by scoring goals or knockouts or accumulating Oscars or platinum records or votes. As difficult as those achievements can be, countless have done so and countless more will. There are clear paths to common fame, well-trodden trails. McAfee has had no path. He hacked his way through life with his wits, his charm, his humor, and his balls. John McAfee is now famous for being John McAfee. It's difficult to think of others who may be in that class. There are those who are famous for being famous, Kardashians and the like, but few people from any realm could do what McAfee now does daily, sometimes several times a day, and that is turn a camera on himself and be entertaining. And his videos needn't be framed in anything dramatic, as when he was evading authorities on his yacht in the Caribbean Sea. Of late, he appears to be safely ensconced in some pleasant location, which is where I found him when we talked. I thought a lot about what I wanted to learn from John, and it sure as hell wasn't anything about cryptocurrencies or technology. The world already knows that stuff. I wanted to find out about the man and what made him who he is. We all have to start somewhere, and childhood is the beginning, and Christmas, aside from our own birthdays, is probably when most of us reflect on our past. So, over an internet connection, somewhere on the other side of the world, here is part 1 of my talk with John McAfee. Let me start off with the easy ones first. What do you want for Christmas?
I don't celebrate Christmas.
Oh, that's right. You know what I should ask you? You wanted the location of Santa so you could wreak your havoc on him. Has anybody ratted him out yet, or what? What's the deal?
Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So, as a result, I just don't bother celebrating Christmas anymore. So, until I get my freaking toys that he promised me while I was sitting on his many laps as I was growing up. No. So. No, but of course, I was raised in the Episcopal Church, so obviously Christmas was a major part of my upbringing and customs as a younger person. But now, I mean, to me, Christmas is not about a spirit of giving, but about a spirit of spending.
Of course.
It's a spirit of let's keep corporate America afloat for one more year by buying shit that people don't want and don't need and giving it to them. So I hate to be cynical. I hope I will be cynical no more on your podcast tonight.
Oh, please. We love cynicism here. In fact, we thrive on it, John. So have at it, my friend.
Fair enough.
You've been a man on the run now for what? Is it 6 years? How long has it been?
Well, we're not on the run anymore. We're in hiding.
You're hiding.
Well, listen, I guess if you don't live a life like Janice and I, you might not separate out running from hiding.
Right.
But now for 6 years, we have been running.
Right.
And letting people know where we are. I mean, like for the past, starting in January, we left before the grand jury convened to charge Janice and I with tax, whatever. Mm-hmm. Went to the Bahamas. I knew it wouldn't last forever. I went to the Bahamas because the Bahamian government has no income tax, and therefore a failure to file for it is not a crime, and therefore I cannot be extradited. So that only lasted a few months before the whatever powers that be hatched the plot with a gentleman named Paul Roll, who is the police commissioner for the country of the Bahamas.
Right.
Hatched the plot, who knows, paid him a few dollars to have me arrested on some minor crime, and while now in jail because of now I am a potential criminal, the Bahamians are more than happy to extradite me, and any country would. Right. So, but we got out of the country before that. Went to Cuba. We were there for a month and a half before the Cuban government came in came to us, called us in and said, the American government has asked us to return you unofficially to America because there's no official channel.
Yes.
And we said we would reply in a few days. We would like you, Mr. McAfee, to leave our country within 72 hours and not to return. I go, you bet, no problem. And we had our yacht there, and it takes days to prepare a big-ass boat for open ocean. And they kept coming a couple times a day. Mr. McAfee, are you sure you're going to be gone in 51 hours? Absolutely. Mr. McAfee, are you sure you're going to be gone in 30 hours? And I go, listen, if I have to swim to Haiti, I will be gone. Do not worry. So we left Cuba, sailed 4.5 days to the Dominican Republic. And, we were arrested as soon as we arrived in the Dominican Republic on fake charges. And again said, we have to ship you back to America. All this is to get me back to America. I hired lawyers and legal maneuvers, got us out of the country, and after 4 days in jail, went to England. And see, all this time, that's called being on the run. Right. Everybody knows where we are, but we are moving around to the point, keeping one step ahead.
Yeah.
When we hit London, when I demanded to go to London with Janet, we sat and talked to the baby. Let's go into hiding for a few months, and we can go back on the run later. And so we've been in hiding now for 5 months. Nobody knows where we are. Not our families, not our closest friends. No one. And no one will. And we communicate from within a Faraday cage. Keep in mind, I more or less started the computer security industry. Yeah. And few know more about that than myself. And if I don't want to be found, I promise you, I will not be found. So now we've been doing this for 5 months and we love it. Hiding is great.
Is it great? What's the best part about it?
Absolutely no worries.
Yeah.
The bad part about it is we're limited as to where we can go, when we can go, how I can appear publicly. It has to be a surprise always. I can't announce in advance I'm going to be appearing in London, like I showed up in Barcelona in Spain a month ago. As a surprise, I just walked out onto the stage, to roaring applause. And that's the only way I can do it. So that's the limitations of it. Okay. The joy of it is nobody's after you. We don't have to be looking over our shoulder. I don't have to have my ear to the ground constantly. But that's how we survive being on the run. I find out in advance when anything is aimed my way, like Paul Roll and the CIA trying to collect me illegally, legally/illegally by manufacturing a crime, arresting me in the Bahamas, and then having the U.S. ask for extradition.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So the CIA would like to get their mitts on you, clearly, and probably other government agencies, whatever they are. And
FBI is one.
FBI is one. Okay. And as we know, bureaucracies are run by bureaucrats and individuals. Okay. Now, question. Are there specific individuals that have it in for you?
Yeah. All right, now this is going to be hard to believe, but you may check it out in the public record office of the mainstream media for whatever record that is worth. All right, now, yes, two names. James Comey. Thank God he is no longer in the position he's in. And Hillary Clinton. Now, why? All right. When I went on the run in Belize, part of my problem was, so I've been having a problem with Belize for years. Okay, they raided my property in the jungle, shot my dog, abused me, and all this shit over petty politics because I refused to be extorted for money. It was stupid of me. I should have, they came and asked for a $2 million donation to their campaign after I'd moved into the jungle of Belize. And I was the only white man in a region of 15,000 people in the jungle, huge area. I should have known better than even doing that. I should have stayed in San Pedro. But in any case, so I refused to pay bribes. She's extorted, and a war broke out. It culminated. It had two culminations. It culminated with their storming my compound in the jungle with 42 armed soldiers, destroyed my lab, and that started. I was pissed off. So, being a computer security sort of expert, I donated a bunch of laptops to key members of the Belizean government, mostly to their secretaries, knowing that when a brand new laptop showed up at a secretary's desk, and it's common, by the way, for attractive women, and by the way, all secretaries for government agencies are attractive.
How about that?
At police, it's not uncommon for men to send them presents.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that they would be confiscated by their bosses, like, I'm sorry, this is from Mr. McAfee, right? So I didn't send them direct. Obviously, they would be suspicious. I sent them to secretaries, sometimes girlfriends, all right? And all of them had malware on them to turn on the camera, turn on the microphone, and pass to me all communications, whether it be email or what have you. And spent about maybe 4 months not personally analyzing it. I hired a bunch of kids. This is my downfall. This is what fucking happened. Okay. Hired a bunch of kids to just look through the data for anything with my name, the town of Orange Walk, the gang suppression unit, which is the unit that got anything. Right. Looking for proof that they had set me up because I refused to pay $2 million in extortion. And by the way, after they came and arrested me that day, and I was only in jail for a few hours, they had no charges. The following day, the man who had originally come to me and said, "Why don't you donate $2 million to our campaign?" Right, the ruling party. All right. And I go, "No, I'm not interested in politics." Next, after the arrest and the harassment and everything else, he came back to, "Oh, Mr. McAfee, we are so sorry. We're so sorry we had bad information. It happens. We made a mistake. Please accept our government's apology. And Mr. McAfee, while I am here, have you reconsidered your donation?" And I said, literally, I said, "Get the fuck off my property, or I will shoot you for trespassing." Okay. That was another stupid mistake. I should have said, "Yes, I have definitely reconsidered it, having spent a night in one of your jails, having been harassed. Yes, and I'm going to give you $4 million instead of $2 million. That's what a rational man would do." But me, I said, "Get the fuck." In any case, whatever, it's water under the bridge. I made a mistake. Now, at that point is when I decided, I'm going to catch you motherfuckers because I'm going to prove you set me up, shot my dog, destroyed my $500,000 worth of my property, abused me, made me look like an idiot in the international press. You're not getting away with this shit. So that's when I donated computers, looking for why they had set me up and proof that they had set me up. Didn't find anything about that. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug dealer in all of Central America. Found out that the Minister of Immigration was the largest human trafficker, at least in Belize and Guatemala. I found out that the Prime Minister had, by the way, this is something, okay, to give you an idea of what third world countries really are like. The Prime Minister created his own private army called the Gang Suppression Unit. Reported directly to him, even though he had he had a military force
Right.
that reported to him. His people were trained by the FBI in Quantico and armed by the State Department. Why? It's what we do with third world dictatorships. God knows why. And so, imagine this in America. Can you imagine President Trump walking in with his private army into Congress, all right? Lining the walls surrounding people. And then, now, let's negotiate that issue that we're talking about. Can you imagine? And yet, that is what happens daily in Belize. The gang suppression unit is his private hit force, okay? And that's what he sent after me. And why it led to that, I'll tell you later. But nevertheless, so I find nothing about that, but I do find out all this other horrific shit.
Mm-hmm.
Then, the Minister of Finance, motherfucking hell, he was the money launderer of all money launderers.
Okay.
Two of his clients were James Comey and one of Hillary Clinton's trusts.
Ooh.
Now, because I moved back to San Pedro, okay, everything went fine until one of the girls that was monitoring these computers slept with the Minister of National Defense, who in their pillow talk, and by the way, she was also sleeping with me, by the way, all right? Slept with, and in their pillow talk, he just innocently said, "So what are you up to these days?" "Oh, I'm working with John McAfee." "Really? What you doing?" "Oh, it's incredible." Says, "Yeah, we're listening in on all of these private conversations," and suddenly the cat's now out. Looking back. Now, what does the Minister of Finance do? Well, he called all of his clients, which are heads of states, of legitimate nation states, the criminal prosecutors, lawyers, you name it, the rich and the powerful. And among the rich and the powerful that were called was James Comey, and James Comey, Hillary Clinton. So now things deteriorate because of this. I mean, big time. My dogs are suddenly killed, and this is after months of intense harassment by the Belizean government and others.
Yes.
About 10 of my dogs are poisoned. The following night, my neighbor, 2 houses down, is murdered. The following day, now I have monitors everywhere. I have, every house. I mean, you can't approach my house within a mile that I don't know you're approaching. Okay, so about a mile down the beach to one of my telephoto cameras, I saw the police coming. So I went into my safe place in the property. I won't say what that was or where, but it cooled them for 24 hours, enough for me to get into town, into a fisherman's shack with Samantha, my girlfriend, and get away. Before I left San Pedro, I called the U.S. Embassy and talked to Balthazar Garcia, the head of security at the time, and a very good friend of mine. I said, "Balthazar, you know what's happening?" He said, yes. But I'm coming into the embassy for sanctuary. He said, "Mr. McAfee, we have been ordered by the highest authority." He goes, he repeated it. "I'm telling you, the highest authority, that we are not to give you entrance to or sanctuary within the U.S. Embassy here in Belize." Now, who is the ultimate powers? Secretary of State. Who's Secretary of State? Hillary Clinton.
Yep.
At that time. So now, why? It's clear to me. She figured, if the U.S. doesn't give me sanctuary, the Belizeans are going to grab me and kill me, and her problem's over. Everybody's problem's over.
Yeah.
But she's certainly not going to raise this to the level that I might safely get back to the States and then suddenly start vomiting information all over the place. which I'm not stupid enough to do. I mean, the only reason I'm alive is because I have not done so. But keep reminding people that I can by sending them. Okay, here's a good example of that. Okay, in the Bahamas. So I found out that Paul Roll, the commissioner of police for the Bahamas, was working with the CIA. And I find that out. Why? Because I am a cybersecurity expert. And not only can I protect my data from you, you can't protect your data from me. It's just the way it works. I mean, if I am a security expert, I can't be one unless I am also the best hacker on this planet. What sort of security expert would I be? So no, if I want to find something out, well, I'm just going to do it. And I regret if I've ever broken a nation-state's laws or city laws or even laws of conscience and good behavior. Nevertheless, if my life is in danger, I promise you I will do so. So I found out about Paul Roll. So I just had my people go, give me the dirt on Paul Roll. It only took me 15 minutes.
Right.
Got his he had a private bank account in the Cayman Islands. I got the bank account number. I got every deposit and every withdrawal into that account for the past 2 years. And I then called the press and the Bahamian, what is it? The Bahamian, whatever the Bahamian main newspaper is in Nassau. Right. And I quote, I was just out loud gave them the information, which showed, and that was just a few minutes before we left off to get out of the Bahamas to avoid Paul Roll's SWAT team, which was coming that evening for me. So I out him in the Bahamian press. We're out at sea on our way to Cuba, so I didn't get to see the newspaper the day after, but the day after, headline, Paul Roll sued John McAfee for defamation of character. But I do things like this just to show people, listen, if I say I got it, I got it. There is nothing that any prominent figure has ever done that I cannot find out about, including sometimes, depending on your age, your first masturbation. So, you know, my point is, people, don't fuck with me. I'm releasing nothing. You don't touch me. I'm not touching you. Paul Roll came after me. Look what happens. All right. Now, Paul Roll is in deep shit now. Well, so am I. I mean, he's a very vicious character and a police commissioner for a nation state, the Bahamas, not known for gentleness and following laws and procedures. So, among others, and at least for the next few months, probably I need to look over my shoulder for him. But I've got the same goods on everybody who has tried to fuck with me, including Hillary Clinton and James Comey. They should have fucking left me alone. I'm saying right now.
I'm loving this, John. You know, my podcast has a mantra, a mission, if you will. A 3-word statement. That is, take no shit. And you'll see over my shoulder here, there, TNS, take no shit.
All right.
Okay. And my listeners who are overwhelmingly male, are very much want to know what you hold a 10th degree black belt in the art of not taking shit.
Well, I thank you. I think that's a compliment.
It absolutely is. Yes.
I thank you very much.
and so
I got to remember that one.
Oh, it's yours. And I'm speaking to you right now. This is the Take No Shit Dojo in Los Angeles, California.
We're going to pause here. Clearly, John is a black belt in the art of take no shit. And when we pick up on or about next Tuesday, John will reveal his secrets in the art of taking no shit, as well as how to find a girlfriend, what brings him happiness, and how you can find your bliss. He'll also weigh in with his thoughts on the movie they're making about him, where he will be portrayed by Michael Keaton, from Batman to That Man. If you'd like to see the video of this interview, including a glimpse of the lovely and elusive Mrs. McAfee, Janice, you can see it by visiting thatlarryshow.com and clicking the Patreon button. There you will find dozens of other special episodes, signed books, custom recordings, and the fellowship of other members of the Take No Shit Dojo. It's a wonderful crew. I had so much fun interviewing John McAfee, I plan to do one interview per month for a while. Which regrettably means something has to give, and that something will be Sinner Sunday. Not entirely, mind you, I'll still be doing one Sinner Sunday per month for the salvation of your immortal soul. Thanks for hanging with me again. It's always great to be with you. Until next week, hang out with me on Twitter and Facebook. Just plug That Larry Show into the search bar. You'll find it. Until that time, take no shit.
Podcast, information, and entertainment. You're listening to the No Agenda Stream.
We stock all your favorite toxins, blending actives with sweet tooth assassins. Cocktails of my own concoction, poisons of divine prescription. All these things are yours for the asking, kill all the cure to these 21st century blues. I'm feeling good. Clock, slip the leash off your keeper. Hell is deep, Lord, but we're heading deeper. Trade your flesh and bone, you'll give up your very soul in a quest to quench the unquenchable, sate the insatiable, stay the inevitable fall. And all these things are yours for the asking, kill all the cure to this 21st century blues. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling sane. I'm smoking, chained, I'm choking, finger-line, pistol whipping gun. Party's over, I don't know you. Ain't you got a home to go to? Let's be on your way past your pill.
it look easy, but we know it takes a lot of time and preparation for each show.
To be honest, yeah, we do make it look easy.
That's the hardest part.
Podcast around the clock. This is the No Agenda Stream.
Hello and welcome to episode number 66 of the Random Thoughts Podcast. That's RANDUMB Thoughts.com online. I am your host, Darren O'Neill, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about comedy. Ricky Gervais of The Office fame, well, The Office UK, may have saved comedy last night in the 2020 Golden Globe Awards, for which he was the MC. We all know we've been living in the world of snowflakes, where so many topics have been off the table. You can't say anything that might offend somebody else. You have to worry about what everybody else thinks. And because of this, the concept of comedy has really taken a hit. And Ricky Gervais is a guy who's talked out about this before, and I appreciate that. The monologue as a whole is worth watching. You can find it on the tubes. I recommend you do so if you want to get a glimpse of a true comedian saying things that he knows is going to offend. Not only that, but the jokes made, he knew not only were going to offend, but he knew that they were going to offend the audience in the crowd at the venue where he was performing, which is just, it's gutsy. It takes some balls. There's no doubt about that. When he talked about this, he said he figured that he had to be the guy and represent the people that aren't invited to these kinds of things. He said, should I worry about offending the couple of hundred overprivileged, rich actors and actresses and producers and filmmakers in the audience, or should he entertain the audience at home, where there's a lot more of us at home? And he knocked this one out of the park, taking swipes at everything from Felicity Huffman, and of course, William Macy along with that. Made the Epstein joke, and which is something, if you're a No Agenda fan, you all know the Epstein didn't kill himself joke. He went there, and he got a groan from the audience, and he didn't care. And more than anything else, it was Ricky Gervais saying that the crowd was just not in touch with reality. And for this, I think a clip is needed.
Apple roared into the TV game with a morning show, a superb drama, a superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing, made by a company that runs sweatshops in China. So, well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God.
And he gets cut off there at the end when he says, fuck off. Yeah, so take your award and go. And the crowd didn't seem to appreciate it 100%. The looks on the faces on the video, a little bit maybe intrigued or miffed that these words were coming out of Ricky Gervais's mouth. And it's something, whether or not, I don't know if these were just jokes for him. I don't think they were. I think he was actually making a bit of a political statement himself. But either way, he's making the point that this type of speech should be allowed. Comedy needs some leeway, that some people are going to be offended and there's nothing you can do about it. And I've been thinking about comedy a little bit lately, going back to Christmas when we had a meal with my family and my nephew, who is 26 years old now, had never heard of the late, great Sam Kinison, a comic that really did change the way comedy was done. And he wasn't the first person to do so. Before him, there are a lot of greats that pushed the boundaries, from Lenny Bruce to Richard Pryor to Eddie Murray. It's a mighty long list, and most of the guys that seem to go down as the greatest comedians of their time had a lot of blue material. Even Red Fox, I mean, if you're just familiar with him from Sanford and Son, go check out some of his performances, and I think you might be surprised at the blue nature of some of his stuff. The only comic that I could really think of that was nearly crystal clean when it came to the language and the concepts that were being used was Stephen Wright, who was a guy also in his own right very worthy of checking out. Just a very droll sense of humor. Things like, I spilled spot remover on my dog and he disappeared. I mean, just really some good, thoughtful stuff that cracked me up every time I heard it. Sam Kinison, though, was a guy that made comedy a little bit edgier. He was known for his preacher-type delivery, and he was a preacher in a previous iteration of his life before he turned to comedy. And he was known for his scream. And to have somebody that lived on this planet now for like 26 years and has never heard a Sam Kinison bit, I felt a little bit bad for him. But it also explained a lot to me of exactly how out of touch these millennials perhaps are with the art and culture that precedes them. Sam Kinison was a guy we laughed with because the things he said held truth. And that is one of the things about comedy that I believe that will always be true, is that if there's no little nugget of truth in there, that people don't laugh. There has to be that little bit of truth. There has to be an exaggeration. And sometimes people are going for nothing more than the shock treatment of it all, which is why guys like Don Imus and Howard Stern, amongst others, made a career out of just saying some absolutely crazy stuff. Don Imus, in one of his last interviews with Glenn Beck, Beck was razzing him a little bit because Imus had sent along a picture of his new puppy, texting, I'm assuming, before the interview. And Beck said, well, in years past, I mean, Imus was the hard ass. He was the guy that wasn't going to let any little thing go by without hassling you. That's what guys, a lot of guys, between just their friends, you want to know why guys are always putting each other down, making fun of each other, slamming each other. It's because it's a way of communicating. It's actually a way of showing that you do like somebody and more than you're really trying to cut them down. But in this particular case, Don Imus had sent Beck a picture of his puppy. So when Beck gets on the air with Imus and he starts kind of razzing him about it a little bit, the first thing Imus says was, Glenn, let me tell you, my dog could bite your dick off. And Beck just laughed hysterically because this was the Don Imus. This was the say whatever you want, say something to get a reaction. And there is a lot of that in the comedy of the past. Is there in the comedy of the future? I don't know. Because in a world where you can't offend anybody, it becomes really hard to say things that are actually funny. Ricky Gervais last night, I think, maybe changed that a little bit, and we're going to have to see where that's going. But guys like Sam Kinison, I remember distinctly him taking on things like world hunger.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to stop sending money to World Hunger Organization. Well, I don't want to seem cruel, you know, but I'm an American, you know? You're just like you. I think we've done a lot. I think we pretty much fucking give out. You know, we give. And they fucking make these commercials to fuck with your head. You know, you're sitting at home, you're having a wonderful time, enjoying what the fuck you put together from scratch. on your own, in your own life. You turn on the television and they got this fucking 2-year-old, 3-inch waisted kids and they're going, the voiceover is like, won't you please help? What kind of sick fucking bastard are you? How can you sit there in that air conditioned, fully heated home with an icebox and cupboard full of food in a country where you can eat 24 hours a day while little Haji pick up that fucking phone? Won't you please help, huh? Kind of sick fuck are you? You really try to guilt trip the shit out of him. It's like, hey, why don't you feed him? You're only 5 feet away! Why don't you get him one of your sandwiches you packed for the day, huh, Bob? Fucking commercials, man. You know the guy's right off camera with a Baby Ruth going, they can't see me, can they? Come here. If I could only walk. Come on, it's right there. Reach for it. Come on, they gear these fucking things up to fuck with your head, man. They know what they're doing. Got a director there going, come on, don't feed him yet, don't feed him yet! The light was bad on that last one. Let's get one more take. Come on, Haji, get back in the mud hole. Come on. Come on, let's get out of here, these fucking mosquitoes, Jesus. We don't need that shit. You want to help them? You really want to help these people? Stop sending them food. Don't send these people another bite. You want to help them? Send them U-Hauls. Send them luggage, folks. Send them somebody like me. I'll walk out there. Send a guy out there that goes, hey, we just drove 700 miles with your food. And it occurred to us that there wouldn't be world hunger if you people would live where the food is! You live in a fucking desert! You understand that you live in a fucking desert? Yes! You live in a fucking desert! Nothing grows here! Nothing's gonna grow here! God damn it, come here! Son of a bitch. You see this, huh? You see this? This is sand, yeah. Did you know nothing can grow in this shit? Did you know that, huh? Here, eat some of it. Taste it, motherfucker. It's sand. You know what's gonna be 100 years from now? It's gonna be sand. You live in a fucking desert. Get your kids, get your shit. We'll make one trip. We'll take you to where the food is. We have deserts in America. We just don't live in them, asshole. You guys been great. God bless you. Good night. Take care of yourself.
The late, great Sam Kinison, guaranteed to offend any snowflake that might be able to hear what you're playing right now. And that's okay. It's okay to offend people. It's okay. Nobody has the right not to be offended. And Sam was a guy who took his comedy and he lived the life. And he was a rock and roll star. He was one of the biggest stars in the entertainment world. I saw a clip from the Joe Rogan show with comedian Lenny Clark, who was a good friend of Sam's, just telling a bunch of stories about Sam Kinison and just the amount of drugs and alcohol and insanity that surrounded Sam. And his celebrity was so large that it's the best story I heard to kind of put this into perspective was there was a night, it was either in Boston or New York at a club where Eric Clapton was there and Phil Collins was there and they're playing. And Sam Kinison gets up and he's jamming with them because Sam knew a little bit of guitar too. And the party got going. The party was going late. There was some calls made to the police. It was after the time the bar should have been shut down and there was a noise complaint. So the police show up and Lenny Clark goes out to deal with the police. He's like, oh, you have 5 squad cars. They're all outside of the club. And they're like, hey, you know what? You got to shut this down. And Lenny's talking to him like, hey, you know what? I got Eric Clapton in there. And the cops are, they don't care. We got Phil Collins in there. They're jamming with Sam Kinison. And the cops go, oh, can we meet Sam? They didn't give a crap about Eric Clapton or Phil Collins. The cops wanted to meet Sam. And of course, Sam went out there and made everything better. And he was a guy that knew the cops were somebody that you should be friends with, because when you're doing as much dope as Sam was at the time, the rumor has it, again, from Lenny Clark, the guy that worked with them, the every concert, every appearance, Sam would leave like 20, 30, 40 tickets for the local policeman to come in and enjoy the show. It certainly helped, I'm guessing. Unfortunately, Sam was killed in a car wreck not of his own causing. His comedic genius to be extinguished. But I think we need more people like Sam. Nothing wrong with yelling. Nothing wrong with screaming. Nothing wrong with getting a little bit offensive now and then to make a point. And if you're not familiar with Sam Kinison, and if you have some millennials in your family, turn them on to Sam Kinison. Because either they may see the light, or they're just going to be so offended that wherever he is, Sam Kinison is going to be smiling either up or down at them as they get offended by his work. And Sam is certainly not alone when it comes to the comedians that I listened to as a kid. One of the first things I ever remember hearing was the Steve Martin album, which contained the track King Tut. And if you have never heard that, you have to go check that one out as well. But of course, Steve Martin was on Saturday Night Live. I'd seen those bits, but my parents picked up the album and probably didn't want me listening to it. But, hey, they weren't around all the time. So every now and then I got to put that record on the turntable and just enjoy the comedy stylings of Steve Martin. The album, entitled A Wild and Crazy Guy, included this bit.
But I'll be honest with you. You probably read it in Screw Up Your Life People magazine anyway. I used to smoke marijuana. But I'll tell you something, I would only smoke it in the late evening. Oh, occasionally the early evening, but usually the late evening or the mid-evening. So I just had the early evening, mid-evening, and late evening. Occasionally early afternoon or the mid-afternoon or perhaps the late mid-afternoon. Sometimes the early mid-late early morning. But never at dusk. Never at dusk. I would never do that. I don't think I should. Okay. Hey, Grandpa bought a rubber.
And that's one of the interesting things about comedies. We pause that here for 1 second. Is that just random? Grandpa bought a rubber. I was probably 8, 9, 10 when I first heard this album. Really had no idea what they were talking about. But to this day, every now and then, I just pull that out because it's something that's stuck in my mind my whole life, just due to the absurdity, whether you know what it means or not knowing at first, but then once you find out, it makes it even more hilarious. And speaking of finding out that words may have different meanings, I'll let Steve continue.
I feel sorry for women, and I'll tell you why. Because so many men think they're into this weird sex. And I'm sorry that there's something wrong about that. And I wouldn't have said that, but 6 months ago I met a girl. She was taking singing lessons, and her coach, 84-year-old guy, you'd think would be the last guy in the world to be weird. But listen to this. He kept wanting her to sing from her diaphragm. That would take years to learn that, wouldn't it? Now this doesn't happen very often, but about 3 weeks ago I met a girl, and she was real nice, and she invited me to her apartment. So I went over there, and she had the best pussy I have ever seen. Oh, now come on! I'm talking about her cat. Now that makes me sick right there. No, you can't say anything anymore that people don't take it dirty, and I'm sorry, that disgusts me. That cat was the best fuck I ever had.
The great Steve Martin. And the fact is, there is a lot more offensive comedy than bits like these that I just played. And I don't think we need to play them all for you to understand that there is a place for this type of comedy. The misdirection